And
All
we
right,
are
it
live.
says-
Welcome everybody to MLG My Basement.
Oh wait, do we got sound? Okay, let me see if I got my. There we go. TikTok. It's getting TikTok. Actually, today we'll create our theme song on Suno. We'll just do it.
that'll be fun.
All right, let me post this on the Twitskis so you can retweet that or like it or whatever it is you do on your side.
I love this privacy is an illusion thing. There's a brilliant quote from, I think he was the CEO of Sun Microsystems back in like 1995.
Yep.
And
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, of course. This is a super. All I have to do is Google Sun Microsystems CEO quote, and it's like right there, talking about privacy.
Yeah, privacy is an illusion. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the first person to say that, right? I stole that quote directly from somebody else. I just don't know who said it originally, but it is true. I mean, privacy is an absolute illusion. Every day we give up more and more of our convenience for in exchange for our information. Like we have literally been conditioned, like humans have been conditioned to just not see value in their personal information. Like a lot of people don't. Like I've asked people, I've run polls before where people are like, I straight up tell them exactly what's being taken from them. And they're like, we don't give a shit. Like we got nothing to hide.
It's not, I mean, for me, it's not even that. It's just it's partly that, I should say.
I mean, everybody has something to hide. If
right?
you say you don't have something to hide, then you're not thinking hard enough. Everybody has something to hide.
I suppose I guess a better way of putting it is I am willing to accept the consequences of the repercussions of the things that if it were to become public, right? Like I am not, on one hand, like I'm not ashamed of the things that I think people would be like bent out of shape about, I guess.
Yep.
And especially when it comes to like my lady, I have told her the things that I am ashamed of that I have done in my past. So like I can't really be held
my
hostage
wife
by that.
knows everything about me.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like those, like you see those scams of like, oh, we have video of you like
100%
backing it to weird porn. And I'm like, okay,
we're gonna tell your wife, you're gonna get in trouble.
I'm like, okay,
you know, it's like I did it in front of my wife last night. Like, are you gonna tell her? Like,
yeah, I'm like, we'll have that conversation then, and I'm willing to like accept the consequences of that, I guess. And it's like, it's not, I don't know, it's just weird.
Well, my wife is also like my best friend, right? So I tell her everything. I confide in her with everything. She's proven over the years that she doesn't have to like it. She doesn't have to agree to it, but she can understand it and tolerate it. So she knows that I can tell her things. Like, like she'd prefer that I don't in some cases. Like I'm also like a big tattletale. I'm one of those people where it's like, I'll go on a trip to Vegas and then I come back and within 15 minutes, I've already told her everything I did that she probably doesn't want to know that I did. and she'll literally look at me and just put her hand on my shoulder and be like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Like, I'm not interested. Just shut the fuck up. God, those were my old days though, and by that I mean going to like a strip club or something like that. I'm not talking about taking it any further.
I've been to strip clubs with my wife. What are you talking about?
I mean, she wasn't. I'm an incredibly. Go ahead. No, people like I may come off like as an extrovert like online, but like in person, I've always been weird around like women. Like I cannot. Oh yeah. I'm not one of those people that could go out and like get an escort or something like that. That would freak me the fuck out. Like seriously, I'd be like just having that person in my space. Yeah, I would feel like they were gonna like rob me or steal my kidney or something. Like I'm that type of person that I'd have that paranoia. So that's kept me safe over the years. Like, you know, it's like the fantasies stay up here because I'm like legitimately afraid of the people. But it's like every once in a while, like when I was younger, I'd go to a strip club or something like that, and then I'd come home and just self-report and narc on myself in like the first 5 minutes, even knowing that she didn't want to know. It's like I couldn't help it. It would eat at me. It would like eat at me, and I'd be like, oh, I just got to tell you. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, I don't care. She knows
anxiousness of like that, like you feel like you're keeping a secret or something.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
Oh, okay.
That's how I feel. And it literally like eats at me. Like seriously, it's like, have you ever done something like when you were a kid that was like really bad, like break out the neighbor's window or something like that? And then you're like, and they don't find out. But then after like a week or so, you're like, they still haven't found out. And you're like, shit, you kind of wish they would find out. See, I was that kid where it's like whenever I did something bad, I was like, please find me. Like, please, please find me. Like, because it'd always be with my friends. My friends would peer pressure me into doing shit. And I'd be like, please find me out. Like, I'd feel so fucking guilty about it, dude. So guilty.
I have a weird relationship with morality, I think, or an uncommon relationship with morality, I think. Yeah. So, at least as a kid, like if they don't catch
every kid does this
24 hours, like I got away with it. I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like most kids, that's common. I feel like I was uncommon in my stance.
My anxiety about doing bad things was more in the moment. If I did something and got away with it, and then
I had a friend like try to set like his neighbor's shed on fire, and I was like shitting a brick. Like I was like, dude, I want no part of this. I had to literally threaten him. I was like, dude, if you do this, I'm telling your mom. Like, you know how hard it is to tell your friend, you know how hard it is to tell your friend, like you're going to tell on them if they do something. Like that's the ultimate big no, right? That's like, that'll make you the most uncoolest friend ever. So I remember like when I was a kid, my neighbor was like, the neighbor kid was really mad at his neighbor and he wanted to burn his shed down. Holy cow. Like he was literally like full on art. This was like the arsonist stage of his life where he walked around matches everywhere and would just light matches and throw them at things. Yikes. Like he was like fire starter, right? He's lucky he made it through his childhood without lightning. His name was Dennis. I just remembered this. I forgot his name.
Jeez, Dennis, get your shit together,
Dennis,
man.
If you're watching this, fuck, bro. No, dude. One time I was in his house. Dennis. So I was in his house, and his dad was super abusive. This was the thing. His dad was an abusive alcoholic. Like I used to watch his dad just lay into him and beat the shit out of him in front of me, and I'd literally run home. I was like maybe like 11 years old, and I'd be like running down the side of like some fucking backwoods road, like trying to get home because I was so scared by what I saw. And so the way that he would like get back at his dad is he'd break his shit and not tell him about it. Like he'd intentionally go fuck with him, pour sugar in the gas tank of his car and stuff. Like he'd fuck his dad up. Like they went back and forth. It was like this cloak and dagger shit. But yeah, he wanted to burn the house down. So I was over at his house one day and he was just taking matches and throwing them on the carpet, and the carpet would kind of like catch fire a little and smolder. And he'd just keep throwing matches. And I'm like, dude, we're in the house. Like, stop it. And so I had to like straight up tell him, I'm like, dude, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna tell your mom. I'm like, dude, I'm telling your mom. And he's like, dude, man, that's so uncool. You can't do that. You're
gonna die, bro.
Dude, he literally was taking like matches on shag pile, like old school carpet, and like throwing them, and you'd see the carpet kind of catch a little bit, and then it would smolder and smoke, and then it'd go out. But I was like, dude, if that catches, like, there's no guarantee we're gonna be able to put that out. Like, super
carpet's
fast.
no joke, dude. Like. Yeah, that's just it. Actually, just turns
funny.
Into oil. Basically.
Hunter just pointed out Dennis the Menace. I was like, I never made that connection. His name was Dennis, and there was Dennis. I wonder if every kid named Dennis is just like fucking batshit crazy.
I don't know any Dennises. So
do we have any Dennises in chat right now, or anybody that knows a Dennis? Like, I want to know if you naming your kid, like, you know, if you name like your daughter like fucking Rebel. If you name her like Rebel, she turns out being like hardcore and like joining all the fucking classes and be standing up for everybody. If you name your kid like Diamond or whatever, she goes to a strip club. Like, you know, you name your kid Dennis, he just fucking becomes a menace. I did know a guy named
Denny, but he was a cool dude. He was rad. I liked Denny a lot. Denny was
to think of it, cool dude. I knew another Dennis and he was fine. Yeah, no, I even knew a Dennis as an adult that was fine.
People, I've only known one cool Trenton, I gotta say. And I've only known like maybe 3 or 4 Trentons.
Is it Dirtfish Trenton?
Huh?
Is it Dirtfish Trent?
I don't know him.
So Trent's a guy I know that up at Dirtfish Rally School, and he's really freaking cool. So I do know a cool Trent also, but only one. Yeah. Only one cool Trent.
Trenton, man, like the 3 or 4 that I've known, one of the like 4 that I have known is like a cool dude. The rest, not cool dudes.
Yeah, Diaz said somebody could get hurt burning a shed down. Fuck, somebody could get hurt burning their house down while we're inside of it.
Bro, I have burns from various burning things. Like hot butter mostly.
I remember like things as a child that I got away with were like pretty mild. Like I didn't do anything. Like the worst thing I ever did, like with fairly good confidence, well, okay, maybe not. The second worst thing I ever did was like break a window out of my neighbor's garage. Like it was an exterior garage, and I hucked a rock through the window. Because, and to keep in mind, I wasn't doing it because I thought I could, because my friend literally told me that it was an abandoned building, because it did look all shitty, right? It was like an outbuilding on this property. And he told me I could do it. And then after I did it, he's like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh my God, I can't. I was like, I thought we could. And so he kind of like lured me into that. So I can
talk about some of these things, the statute of limitations.
You got to check the statute of limitations.
I was a minor at the time anyway. So
yeah.
Well, I'm half kidding, but. No,
actually, one of the worst things I ever did as a kid is I kicked a chair out from under my teacher when I was like 5 or 6 years old in grade school in the middle of a DARE assembly, because I kept talking to people and she pulled me out of the group and made me sit next to her, and all the kids were pointing and laughing at me. So I remember she went to sit down in her chair after making me sit down, like prominently in front of all the kids so they could see, you have to sit over next to teacher. And I remember I kicked my leg back and kicked the chair out as she was going down, and she fell like flat on her ass. Like immediately she went down on her back. She hit her head. I didn't mean for that to happen. The music stopped. The assembly stopped. Everybody's like, oh. And I was like, I realized what I did. And I was like, I am fucked. Like that was... And that did not end well. Like my parents got called. I got picked up. I was expelled for 2 weeks. Luckily, I didn't get completely expelled. I had to go back in. I apologized to the teacher. Like I heartfelt apologize. Like I didn't mean for her to go down and fucking bash her head on the. I was young, right? I didn't think it through.
Yeah, when like a prank doesn't go well. Like I'm a big fan of like spooking people. Like jumping around the
jump scares and shit. Yeah,
man. 100%. There've been a couple people that have like, don't ever do that shit again. I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel bad. To me, it's funny as shit. When it happens to me, I enjoy it. It's funny. I think it's great.
I love fear when there's no real danger attached to it.
Yeah, right.
Like roller coasters and like jump scares in movies and shit. Like I live for that stuff. Like that actually gives me like a jolt of norepinephrine or whatever. And you're like, some people not so much. Some people get like legitimately sick from it. They get dizzy and vertigo and shit. And oh my God.
Feels so bad.
Coyote said, where have you been lately? No streams lately? Should I just tell? I feel like I should clear the air since people haven't seen me in like 3 weeks, more or less. So I fucked my back up like super bad. I already have a really bad back to begin with, but I have a condition where my SI joint, or it's called like the sacroiliac joint, which is a notch that's in your pelvis that your sciatic nerve runs through to go down your legs. Mine are too narrow. Like mine grew wrong, and they're fucked up, and they got bone spurs in them. So instead of having a smooth passage for the nerve to go through, they've always been kind of closed off. And so what that causes, the nerve rubs up and down on it as you walk and you move. And as it rubs up and down, it gets irritated and then it gets inflamed and the nerve grows to like 3 or 4 times its size. It like poofs up like a sponge. Then it gets pinched. And if you've ever had a sciatic nerve pinch, like where you physically can't walk and it feels like you have shooting pain down your leg, I have that 24/7. And I've always had that 24/7. I have to take pain medication for it every single day of my life, and it just gets progressively worse. Well, I did something. I don't know what it was. I suspect it had something to do with like moving the hot tub because we were like trying to re-level the hot tub, and something like different happened. Like I felt something in my back that I hadn't felt before. It was a warm sensation. I started losing sensation in my leg, and I started losing strength in my leg. Like my leg just kept, my left leg kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker to the point where I couldn't even stand. Like it would just buckle under me.
Oh man.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I got on a call with my pain doctor, and he looked at it, through the camera. It was like one of those, because I couldn't drive in. I was too fucked up. So he looked at it and he's like, oh yeah, that's a SI joint just getting worse. He's like, we knew it would get worse. It's getting worse a little faster than we thought now. Shit's getting accelerated. He's like, your fat ass, lose some weight. He didn't put it that way, but yeah, he said at this point you do have to lose some weight because your condition's never going to improve. So anything you can do to shave some mass off is going to help. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to help with the pain, but it'll make me have more mobility for a longer period of time between being crippled.
I don't know. Sure.
So that's something now that I'm invested in. So, but they can't fix it. The only thing that they could do is give me a very expensive shot that insurance doesn't cover, where I have to go into the doctor's office. They lay me flat on a table with something called a fluoroscope, and they just did this 4 days ago. And a fluoroscope is basically, think of an X-ray, but it's live. It's like you're looking at a screen, and it's like an X-ray at like 30 frames per second.
You gotta take like you gotta drink some radioactive Kool-Aid or something.
Don't even need it. This
nice.
thing, you get under. It literally looks like the cartoons where it's like they walk behind the screen and you can see all the bones. It looks just like that, and you're watching a screen that's like live. And then what the doctor does is he guides a needle, and it hurts as much as you think it does too. First, he takes a big needle and sticks it in you about 8 times to numb the area. He numbs it at the skin and numbs it all the way down to where the nerve is. That burns like fuck. Like seriously, it feels like he's just pouring fire on your back. But then everything numbs up. And the reason why he has to numb it is because he literally takes this ginormous fucking needle. I don't even know what it is. It's like a fucking like 10 gauge needle or something. It's big. It's really big. He takes this thing, he shoves it in your back. I mean, it's so big that he has to put like a fucking pad over it, and it bleeds for like an hour afterwards because the hole's so big. God. So he sticks his needle in there with this really viscous compound. Like I didn't realize how viscous it was until I watched him do it the first time. He has to push really fucking hard to get it to come out of the needle. Like even though it's a huge needle, because it's super thick. It's like castor oil. Gosh. And so this steroid, he sticks it in there and guides it with the X-ray. So he's watching an image on a screen. He guides the needle in there until it's in the joint. And the reason he has to guide it is because, one, he'd never be able to find just digging around in there. And two, he can't hit the nerve. If he hits the sciatic nerve, he can cripple me permanently. Right, so he has to avoid a nerve and get it into this little itty bitty hole where the nerve is going through without touching the nerve, but pushing the steroid in around it. So it's a 50-50 chance. Half the time I get the shot, it doesn't work. Half the time I get it, it works. And I won't know for sure if it's working. I think it is, but I won't know for another 2 days because it takes about 6 or 7 days for the medication to kick in. And so they lay you on this table. Yeah, Dangerous Brian, I have had these shots before. This was my 7th shot that I've received, but I haven't gotten a shot in the last year. Was
like different from the because I think you were getting you did like a cortisone or something at one time.
Yeah, it was like every 3 months I used to get this shot.
Yeah,
and I usually get it on both sides, but this time I couldn't afford it. It's $500, so I can't afford that for both sides. So I think the doctor I was working with him, we were able to knock it down to about $320 plus the visit, so like $400-ish, but still. I can't afford $400 every 3 months. I can't. But I was in so much agony. I was so laid up. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even get to the bathroom without help half the time. So, and I couldn't get into the hot tub. I had this wonderful hot tub that I could go soak in that would relieve my pain, but I couldn't get in and out of it because my leg was too weak. So I was just in so much fucking pain. It was driving me nuts. Right. So they did this shot on Tuesday. And then for like the first 24 hours, because they put that fast acting med in there, it started to feel a lot better, but it didn't feel as good as it usually does. Like usually when I get the shot, the first 24 hours are like a miracle. Like I can walk perfectly, all the pain is gone, and then the next day you wake up and it's like it never happened, and you get really upset because they even prepare you for it. The doctor's like, listen, you're gonna walk out of here in an hour and you're gonna feel like you're fine. Well, this time I didn't. So I'm a little worried about the placement of the shot because that should have been 100% effective. Or it means that my problem in my back is more severe than just the sciatic nerve, which I'm hoping that isn't the case. So we won't know for a couple more days, but really expensive. Insurance won't cover it because Primera is just a bunch of cock knobs. But I may need this shot for the rest of my life, and I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it. But as long as it works, and it gets me moving again, like right now I'm in agony right now. I'm having to sit here with this jacked up under the side of my back, pushing in on my back, because if I relax my back and I sit back in the chair, it'll actually jolt me. My whole body will like violently jolt, and then that hurts like even worse. So, and no amount, my insurance does not cover Ozempic.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah,
$1,200 a month. Yeah. Trust me. I already tried to go down that route.
Well, you'd have to be like super diabetic or something. They're not going to do it just for weight loss.
They only do it for, exactly. They'll do it for diabetes. They won't cover it for weight loss. So
time to get diabetes, Jerry.
Got to get the beaties. That's funny. I literally get diabetes so I can get the drug to lose the weight. That'd be so wrong.
And then your diabetes goes away too, right? You know, it's a win-win.
There you go. That's game in the system 101 right there, brother.
That seems to be of it, right? Like, we're not going to help you until you're like right on death's door.
It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me.
Preventative maintenance, like, nah, we're just going to whatever.
Dude, the insurance industry is the biggest racket ever. It's like, I looked at it. It's like I pay $1,200 a month for my wife, kid, and I to have insurance, right? They hardly use their insurance at all. They might get their annual physical and a teeth cleaning, right? So actually, I forgot, dental's another $200 on top of that. So it's like $1,400 a month for the insurance for us. Mine is the most expensive, obviously. I think it's like $700 of it is just me. And I pay $700 a month, yet I still have to pay a $6,000 copay before insurance kicks in anything. The only thing that they'll cover is generics, no name brand medications. Even if the name brand medication is the only medication that exists, they will not cover it. Only generics. They will not, and they don't cover it all. They just cover a portion until you pay the $6,000. Then they'll cover it all. And a doctor's visit gets knocked down to $60, or urgent care is $90, or ER is $250. And then they cover everything after that until the whole $6,000 is paid. But there's like all these little in-network, out-of-network. Doctor performed 2 procedures. They passed you from one doctor to another doctor in the hospital, so that counts as 2 visits. There's all these like little things that they do to try to rack up the points without telling you, right? You never get upfront pricing on anything in the medical industry. So it's like every time I go to the doctor, I'm like, how much is this going to cost? Nobody can tell me. All they can do is give me like a ballpark. Like even when I go to the pain doctor, I'm like, how much is a shot? Oh, well, we bill insurance $720, and then they usually come back and with the percentage of the negotiation, they pay $350. So the out-of-pocket expense for an inpatient is like $450. So because if we do the 350, then they won't let us bill the 700 and they'll knock it down. It's like they try to explain it to you, but it's like, how much will it cost? Like you have to know, right? Like how much is this going to cost? And they're like, we just don't know. Yeah. Because we have to bill your insurance, and then your insurance comes back and says whether they're going to give $10 or $100. And here's the weird thing. It can actually cost, and this blows my mind. It can cost more for a procedure with insurance than without insurance.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll give you a discount for straight cash.
Dude, it's so fucked up. Not only that, I went into the pain doctor and I said, hey, I need to get the steroid shot. I was in agony last week. I wanted this shot over a week ago. I had to wait a week because even though I know insurance won't cover it, because I've already done it 6 times. 6 times they've sent it to insurance. A week later, insurance kicks it back and says they won't cover it, but they give them an authorization, right? So they can give me the shot. They just won't pay for it. So then I go in and I get the shot. However, if I came in and didn't have any insurance, they'd be able to give me the shot the same day. Like I wouldn't have to wait a week and it would be the same exact price. But because I have insurance, now I have to wait and I have to suffer an additional 6 days just so the insurance can refuse them because that's how their insurance system works. And you could say, hey, I just want to pay cash. Don't go through insurance. They're like, no, you can't do that because if you have insurance, we have to go through it. Like that's like a requirement. They will not let you go. If you actually have an insurance card on file, you can't say don't use it. They have.
That's dumb.
It's so stupid.
And again, and that's just because so they can try and overcharge the insurance and get it
exactly. Yep. So same thing with my primary doctor too. So it actually delays things unless it's an emergency,
so like,
right?
You get denied, and then it's like, now can I pay cash?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Just fucking denied it. Like, come
Every
on.
time.
Why do we gotta? Can't we just skip all that?
Because I even asked my doctor, I was like, hey, can I just come in and get the shot, and you guys can do the pre-approval now? And then when it comes back and it's denied, I can just pay you the cash because that's what we normally do. You guys bill me anyway. It's not like I pay up front. Can we do that? And they're like, oh no, we can't do that because if we don't get the authorization from insurance and we give you the shot and they find out that the date that we gave you the shot is different from when they rejected the authorization or whatever, it creates like a paperwork nightmare for them. So they're like, we can't do that. Okay. I'm like, fuck. So and here's the other thing. It can cost more with insurance because what they'll do is they'll bill insurance. Like for instance, this is where I had to negotiate with the doctor to get the price down, was they'll bill the insurance $720. Insurance will come back and pay $350. But because insurance rejects my claim, the invoice still is $700 and some odd dollars. So then they send that invoice to me. The insurance company rejects it. So the insurance company basically says, you owe us this much money now. So now you got to pay them $700 when you could have just paid cash $350 directly to the pain doctor. So what I end up doing is when they come back with the pre-auth and they deny it, and they say, okay, we're not, they're not going to cover it. Then at that point I say, hey, can you guys just give me the shot and I'll just pay you, cash and not go through insurance. And then they'll do it, but they want the insurance to refuse it first. Like they need the insurance to refuse it first. But I'm like, they refuse it every time, but they keep telling me, they're like, hey, so you never know. Sometimes they might approve it. And I have had that happen before where they've denied it and then the next year they approve it.
Yeah.
So it's always good to go through insurance just on the off chance it works. And then if you call them and you get on the phone and you argue and go back and forth and send emails and raise a big stink, then you might get them to cover one procedure, but it won't apply to the next one. You have to do that for like every single procedure to fight to get it covered. It's like, I feel bad for people who have to spend their entire lives on phone calls with insurance just fighting for what they already paid for. And it's like the biggest monopoly because if you think about it, I pay, I don't know, here, let's break out the calculator here because my brain's not very good at the whole math thing. So let's see, I pay, let's say $1,200 just for the medical, right? So I pay that, let's see, so $14,400 a year, right? Let's say that I go to the doctor every single month, right? So that's a $60 copay times 12. That's only $720 in the doctor visit. The cash for the doctor visit is only $69. So the insurance doesn't give them $60. Like I pay $60, but insurance gives them less because they negotiate the whole thing, right?
Right.
So realistically, the insurance company is charging me $14,400 a year. And then even if I went to the doctor every single month and got some basic medications and everything, they would still make 14 times what they're paying on my behalf. So basically for insurance to lose, they would need like 9 out of 10 people paying for insurance to be like critically ill all the time, which isn't the case because most people are healthy. Like on average, if you go through the averages, right? It's like 1 out of 10 people might go to the doctor once in a year. 1 out of 50 people might go to the doctor twice in a year. Like it's not a lot for like most healthy people that are in, a range, right? Like 20, 30 years old. And then you have the occasional emergency. Sure. Those can fuck over the insurance company. Like, right. You go in, you need $1 million operation. Now the insurance has to pay out $1 million. But it doesn't take very many people to eat that up. Like a million, even if 1 out of 100 people needs $1 million operation every 10 years of their life, they still come out net positive by a lot. So they've rigged these margins so much that basically there would have to be an apocalypse where like every state was hit by meteors and everybody was on fire and there was like a global pandemic times 10.
Major disasters and stuff. Yeah, it gets really weird.
And if that happened, do you think they'd cover it, or do you think that they just bankrupt and just disappear and not cover anybody and run with everybody's money? That's exactly what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. Hey, D-Pat, thank you for the $5. Said, look up semaglutide peptides. Already done it, brother. You can buy them online. I pay $100 for a 2-month supply and mix it myself. Same as Ozempic. Oh, like the DIY solution? Wait, is that like what they did on South Park? Did you see the South Park episode, the Ozempic South Park? Dude, it's hilarious. There's a new movie out, a new South Park movie where they talk about the whole Ozempic craze where everybody's losing weight. And it makes like the running joke where everybody's like, oh, I've been going to the gym and working out. And it's like nobody's going to the gym and working out. They're all just like squirreling Ozempic and going to like Ozempic parties and like trading medication and smuggling it across the border. The problem is semaglutide makes me feel really ill. I've tried it before. I took it for 14 days. It does work. I mean, you'll lose a fuckload of weight, but it makes you feel violently sick. At least for me, it did. And I talked to the doctor, and he said that's not uncommon. He said a lot of people actually do get sick taking it, and they just power through it anyways. Because apparently there are some people that want to lose weight so bad that they will literally just feel like they need to throw up every day and not eat. And here's the other thing that people don't seem to understand, and I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but I can't lose muscle mass. If I lose muscle mass, like if I go into starvation, because that's what semaglutide is. It's a starvation diet. You're basically shutting off the part of your brain that's hungry, so you just don't eat. That's exactly what it is. That's why you lose weight, is because you're not hungry. It's not because you're eating like you normally would. You're just not eating like you normally would because you're forgetting to eat. Like I when I was on semaglutide, there was an entire day I went where all I drank was a coffee and like 2 waters and didn't eat a single piece of solid food, and I never got hungry once. So that's the problem with the semaglutide, is it puts you into a starvation diet. Then instead of your body going into some kind of ketosis or something like that where it's useful and you're burning the fat, you're also burning the muscle. So you lose muscle and fat. Especially if you're a big dude like me, you're going to lose them both at a pretty high clip. And if I lose my abdominal muscle, my lower backstrap muscles, I'm done. Like I am donezo. So I got to be really, really careful to lose the weight but keep the muscle. So that's why I'm trying to get my back into some kind of shape so that I can walk and I can move and I can do some minor things like squats and stuff like that to get my core strong and keep my core strong. But then shed the weight, right? Which is what that's the right way to do it.
Oh yeah, man. Start simple. Stand on one leg.
The pain I've been in, dude, has been insane.
Kind of little stuff.
Put it this way: the pain that I'm in, the pain that I'm in, I can max out a dose of oxycodone, and all it does is improve my pain by maybe 10%. Like that's how bad, because it's a nerve pain. It's like it doesn't really hit this specific nerve pain. It doesn't treat very well, but they don't really have anything that does. The only other thing they really have is this stuff called what did they put me on? It was a nerve. It's a drug. God, what is it called? I took it for a while. It made me feel like absolute shit, though. There's a drug that you take that it basically numbs the nerves, so the signals to your brain are reduced.
Yeah. Kind of like an epidural kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like a pill form epidural in a way, but not so severe that you don't feel anything. It's like you still feel things. It just numbs it, right? And but that shit made me feel so bad. Oh my God. And I was always tired, because anything that numbs your nerves will make you tired, because anytime the signals to your brain are being slowed down, you basically get tired. Yeah. Gabapentin. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, gabapentin. I've been on gabapentin multiple times in my life, and it does work. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a great medication as far as like when you are in absolute nightmarish amounts of pain from nerves, it will help with it, but it'll also make you like super, super tired. And so, but for me, it's like, it sucks because like the drugs that I've been on for like 15 years now are no longer that effective. They still are, though. They're effective enough to use. They're just not that effective. The steroid shot, when that works, that's amazing. But again, it's a 50-50 shot. And here's what sucks about it. I go get the shot. It's an incredibly painful procedure. I have to pay, I think it's $400 out of pocket is what it works out to after they do all the insurance bullshit. So $400, and it's a 50-50 shot that it'll work. Like literally, and if it doesn't work, I can't just go pay, not that I could anyways, but I can't just go pay another $400 and try again, because that steroid is still in my system. So even though it's not in the affected area and doing me any good, you're still metabolizing it, which is hurting your liver. So you have to wait 3 months for that viscous compound that's injected into you to basically get reabsorbed into your body, let your liver recover, and then do another shot. So the best possible case scenario I get is if the shot works, I get about 40 to 50 days of relief. Then it falls off pretty dramatically for another month and a half. And then I can go in and get another shot. And that's if it works. If it doesn't work, I just threw $400 down the drain and all I got was a really, really painful procedure and no gain whatsoever. So it's like, it's a shitty situation, but it's like, you really can't, it's like, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do in that situation? But luckily Miss Barnacules, I won't go into too much detail, but Miss Barnacules has been keeping me working pretty hard lately. So she's been my universal gym lately. Nice. And so old Barnes has been getting some exercise, because here's the thing. No matter how bad you hurt, with the proper motivation, you will just deal with it.
Heck yeah.
So man. I'll leave it at that. If you're ever in like critical pain, like seriously, most men, you could be like 107-degree temperature, like throwing up, and it's like the second that tail comes around the corner, you're like, you know what? I'll take one for the Gimper. It's like you kick into a different mode, your brain reprograms, and then when you're done, you're like, for 10 minutes you feel normal, and then after 10 minutes you're like, I'm gonna die. What have I done? And then you just do it again. Helps, Hey, Nico, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said Elon might ban iPhones at X if it has any AI and OS.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Fine.
Dude, he's such
a
fucking drama queen snowflake.
I almost got into it with my neighbor about Elon, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean,
he's a fucking joke, dude.
I'm not trying to argue with the guy, and like, there's, he's not making. It's like there's a difference between my personal distaste and like the obvious like.
I'm just gonna spam chat with this.
I don't know. It's just weird. He messaged me the thing about the stock thing, blah blah blah, and we almost got into it about like Twitter censorship and stuff. And I'm like, how is it any different? It's my private club. If you come into my house and you saying shit that I don't like, I have the right to kick you out, right? Twitter.
I 100% agree with that.
Twitter has the same right.
Yeah, I agree.
The same right. They can do the same thing. It's a private Facebook, Instagram, all these places. You agree to the rules, and what is the censorship? The censorship is only from the government. Free speech only protects you from the government, but I didn't want to get into it with them because I
have an exception. I have an exception.
It's like one piece of like. Otherwise, I really enjoyed yakking with my neighbor guy and stuff.
I love debating people, especially in person where you can like get that energy.
Yeah,
I know Dale's fucking with me. I know he's fucking with me. That's why I was responding. I was like, don't worry, dude. I'll make sure he doesn't get elected.
Silly.
No, I think there is one exception, and I'll let you like weigh in on this. I think there is an exception to like the free speech, even if Elon owns the platform. I do think there's an exception when he's claiming one thing and doing another. Now, if he just owned it, and said, "Hey, listen, I'm censoring everybody, and this is the shit that I'm doing, and fuck you guys, I own the place, I can do whatever I want," that would be one thing. And even though I don't like it, I'd support it. But the problem is he's telling everybody that he's free speech. He's telling everybody he's anti-censorship, but every one of his actions have proved the exact opposite to an extreme level.
And frankly, that's the same from before too. Like Twitter was not equally applying the rules to everyone, and you see it in all of the different platforms. Twitch will.
They did apply their TOS though. They even though people might not have agreed with it, but they did apply it.
Not equally across everybody. Like if you were a big enough platform, you would get a little slap on the wrist, like, or they'd look the other way, or they'd only just take the.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you see that you see that everywhere.
You're right. You're right.
You see that on Facebook. Some people will say things, and somebody else will do the exact same thing, and you get perma banned and that kind of stuff. And that's really the irritation. And you see it. It doesn't matter who owns the platform. They do that shit all the time. You see it on, like I said, you see it everywhere, and that's what's irritating. That's what's shitty. And
the two tiers of justice.
He's doing the same thing. So like,
so I was talking about something a little bit different. Like now I understand where you're coming from. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you that aspect exists on every platform that I know of. I can't think of a single platform that doesn't.
You can't say I'm a free speech absolutist and then ban. You shouldn't ban anybody.
Yeah, it's like the dude, like one case that you can call out that just wrecks him. Like if anybody ever wants to argue with it, just say Elon Jet. That's it. All you got to do is say Elon Jet.
Yeah,
one account.
Or
that's it.
The Lemon guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Don Lemon.
Don Lemon, where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to pay this guy to do this interview," and then didn't like the questions that was being asked, and then cut him off, and then took the deal away because he didn't like what he was saying.
And he lied ahead of time and said that he didn't give him there's no deal. It's not contingent on anything. This is a real interview with real questions. And then Elon in his own interview lies about it. Like he literally goes, "Oh, but you were not going to ask me these questions." Like, wait a second, you just said in the beginning that you wanted this to be like an open interview where he could ask you anything. Then he asks you one question. You're like, "Wait a second, we talked about this beforehand." It's like, dude, you just outed yourself as a liar.
So okay, if they want to be private companies, then take away Section 230. Why? Again, we've had this discussion too. If I sell soap boxes in a public park, right? If I sell soap boxes in I have a right as a company to sell soap boxes and megaphones for people to talk whatever they want. They can use their free speech that the government allows for them and within the rules, right? But if I as the seller of the soapbox and loudspeakers don't like what you're other than federally protected classes, right? I have to allow anybody to buy the soapboxes, but I can also I can choose not to sell them or take my soapbox back, right? If I don't like what you're using my soapbox for. That's the same thing. Like they'd be like, okay, then
if it's in the contract, if it's not in the contract, they can sue you.
And Ford can take your car away because you were driving too fast. Like I don't know, man. You can't hold the platform responsible for what people do with it to like a certain extent, right? Only to a certain extent you can do that. And
yeah, I'm just calling a spade a spade.
It's I don't know, man. I think it's different. I'm not prepared enough to make an articulate argument. I don't think fair. The crux of it is I don't think it would be fair to punish the platform outside of like, public sentiment, I suppose. Because again, it's like a university having somebody speak at their auditorium. Right. It's
private property, right? So the
university and the people can get upset and whatnot.
Yeah,
you can if they are editorializing. It's their club. It's their private club. They can make whatever rules they want.
Yeah. Would I get mad at the RNC for like kicking out a Democrat that gets up and keeps interrupting everybody? No, of course not, because that's the RNC.
Or it doesn't matter. Like that university that had that football guy who said some bullshit, right?
Yep.
Like. They have every right to have that person there, and the people have every right to be
sure. If it's a private Christian university and people are paying to go there and they like what they're saying, then
it goes both ways, right? Like the university doesn't have to let just anybody who wants to speak. They get to choose because it's their
right
stage, and it's the same. It's the same for Twitter. It's the same for Facebook. They don't have to allow everybody to say whatever the fuck they want. It's their stage. They can make the rules.
Correct.
Because you chose to follow those rules. There are rules. I don't know.
Here's where I draw issue, though. I agree with you.
I agree with you on all points. For their club, they get to make their rules. Like the government isn't telling them to stop. The government isn't coming in and telling them to let anybody say whatever the fuck they want. That's the whole point. Like they have the platform has rules. And if you break those rules, you get kicked off the platform. Like you signed up for this.
Yep. But where I take issue with it, though, is when the rules are laid out and the people that own the platform are saying that the platform rules are one thing, but then they're doing a completely different thing. Like I'm all for following the rules. Like if I'm in somebody's house and they want to kick me out because they don't like what I'm saying, it's their property. They can do whatever they want. Elon owns X. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. Where I take issue with them personally, and this isn't like a judicial thing, like I'm saying you should be like sued for this. I'm just saying that I think it's bullshit that he is megaphoning to everybody that he is super free speech advocate and anti-censorship when his own actions and his own words prove otherwise.
Right. But see, so 230 protects them from liability, as it should, because they're not responsible for what the people choose to do on the platform. Like, again, if it's within the rules, like, okay, if the university... If you
hold a platform liable for what people do, we'd be fucked. Like, seriously, I don't agree with that. Like, if you held a platform responsible for the individuals, nobody would have a platform.
In the early 30s, Madison Square Garden allowed an American Nazi Party convention.
I remember that.
Everybody knew what they were up to at that point. Americans weren't involved in the. Are you gonna hold Madison Square Garden responsible for supporting the Nazi regime? No, because they're allowed to invite whoever they want. The government can't step in and say, "Oh, Madison Square Garden is wrong for that." Like, then it shouldn't be a private club. So you're going to nationalize these things? That doesn't make sense either.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird mix of things. Cause like on the one hand, these giant private companies kind of suck, right? They're abusive in a lot of different ways. But at the same time, it'd be similar to like holding the VFW responsible for, or in a legal sense, holding them liable in a legal sense for having an event for like a motorcycle gang that is selling drugs and stuff. Like, is it the VFW's fault that they allowed them to have their little dance or whatever there? No. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird. Weird.
I think it'd be more along the lines of they just rent out the building to somebody expecting them to follow the rules. They don't follow the rules. They shouldn't be held responsible for that because they stated the rules. They weren't the ones that broke it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, listen, you paid the money. You said you were having an event. You came in and had some Nazi event. We disagreed with that, but you paid us the money, right? And you did the thing. But you broke a shitload of rules. We're kicking you out. Right. Or you didn't break any rules. We disagree with you, but you can still stay because it's within the rules.
Right. And that's it. That's the thing. That I think that's an important distinction. You can not like what's being said, but as long as it's within the rules that the private entity has set up, like,
I wouldn't have as much of a problem.
There is no such. Why do you think it should be Twitter's fault or Facebook or Instagram's fault? Why should they be held liable for, in a legal sense? Because there's a difference here between like being legally responsible for something and like socially responsible, right? Because there's a lot of uprising and stuff about what is, because like there have been internet hosting companies that have been pressured socially,
right,
to remove websites and stuff from their hosting services.
Yep.
That's different from the government or the law coming in and saying no. And that's what's against free speech. That is the Section 230 part. Yeah. Is you do need like
I think I can articulate what you're trying to say.
You can't hold the company responsible for what people. And somebody brought up the gun thing. I don't think it's appropriate to sue Smith and Wesson for mass shootings. I don't think that's appropriate.
No.
Because then am I going to hold DeWalt responsible for my shitty garden or because my fence fell down? No, it's a tool, right?
Yeah, if somebody builds my house and they only put the screws in halfway, is the drill company responsible, or was that fucking person an idiot and they're responsible? The person who actually commits the action is the one that's responsible, right?
Yeah.
If I choose to drive my car into a group of people, it's not the car manufacturer's fault. It's my fault for using it as a weapon.
Right.
If I take a gun and I go shoot clay pigeons with it and I'm not killing anybody with it, nobody gets hurt. Therefore, I'm using it how it's supposed to be used.
There's some wiggle there because like Prius is Pri? I don't know what the
Pri. I like Pri. Let's go with Pri. I love it.
When, there was a quick moment there where some of the Pri's were accelerating out of nowhere.
I remember that. Yeah, the accelerator gets stuck
in the tool, right? That's a defect in the tool, and then the manufacturer is responsible for that. If my gun, and I've done all the right things to the gun, I've done all the things that I'm supposed to do, and it just goes off and pokes a hole and kills the guy next door. I'm partly responsible, I'm sure. But also, if I can show that this was manufactured improperly, then it's the gun manufacturer's problem.
Like a good example of this would be what happened with the guy that manufactured the Serbu guy. So he manufactures a 50 caliber low production rifle, right? That YouTubers buy, and everybody's got, because it was like an affordable 50 cal. Normally 50 cals are like $10,000. He made one that was like $3,000. So it's a single shot. It's designed to shoot these things. Well, one of the YouTubers decides to put in these like rounds that he just bought off eBay that were like hand loaded rounds from some dude, and he used the wrong powder that was like 100 times more powerful. And so he pulls the trigger, the breech of the gun explodes, and it almost kills him. Like it literally puts holes in his neck. He had to like stick a thumb in it because he had to like hold his artery to get to the hospital because he was bleeding out. The channel was called Kentucky Ballistics. Kentucky Ballistics didn't hold Serbu accountable for the accident because his gun exceeded all of the safety ratings that were claimed. He was the one that stuck around in it that was super hot. That never should have been. If you put it in any 50 caliber gun, it would have blown up like a pipe bomb. Mm-hmm. So that was his responsibility because he bought a round sight unseen off of eBay that was loaded by some guy, and he didn't do the due diligence to make sure that it was an authentic round. And he put it through the gun, and the gun exploded. that's not Subaru's fault, because Subaru can't make a gun that has unlimited strength, right? Like that wouldn't make any sense. It would have to weigh like 1,000 pounds and cost $1 billion. Like, and it wouldn't function as a firearm anymore.
Right.
So yeah,
it'd be like suing all of the computer component manufacturers, or holding them legally liable for someone hacking NORAD or something, right? You can't blame them, the computer manufacturer, the network card manufacturer, or the software developer or whatever. Well, and for what people are using their thing for.
Yeah, like what if I run a Where site? What if I put a bunch of pirated software and movies on my computer and I share that with the world? Am I the one that should get in trouble, or the hard drive manufacturer that I stored it on, the network card that I transmitted over, the ISP account that I used to transmit it to other people? Should all the people in between me and the person that allowed the data to travel there, are they the ones responsible, or is it me for committing to the illegal action to use those things for something that they were not supposed to be used for in the first place?
And I still haven't really seen any rationale for why the platform should be responsible for what people are using it for. It's been a lot of what about.
It's a dangerous slippery slope too. Because just think about it for a second. If any company that had a website on the internet where people could talk and converse with each other, imagine even one-on-one conversation, because this would also apply to like Skype and shit, right? If any company had to apply by this, you would be screwed.
Should we hold the cell phone company responsible for allowing terrorists to plan, bad things?
Or I call and they threaten somebody. Should the cell phone company be in trouble for making a death threat if I use their network to deliver it?
That's where that goes. If I use my burner phone or whatever, I buy a Metro phone, and I use it to plan a bank robbery, are they responsible? Should they have stopped that somehow? No, it's a tool that I can use to do. I can do good things with it. I can do bad things on it, and it's not.
You have to hold people accountable for their actions. A
baseball bat can be used to hit a ball or brain someone.
Yeah, if you blame the instrument, and plus you can't. Tell me this: how can you regulate everything? You can't, because there's new things created every day and everything's changed every day. So you could create all the legislation in the world, and you would never be able to create enough legislation to cover 100% of the things to protect people. And even if you tried, you would just disconnect people from any kind of convenience or ability to conduct their lives, because everything that they interacted with couldn't exist any longer.
So D-Pad says, I have no problem with the platforms not being held responsible, but if that's the case, they don't get to censor the content. Now, that they can, there are platforms, 4chan, for example, or others similar, that allow anything. There's, there are no rules. There are platforms like that. But then if you don't have rules about what is okay and what's not okay, then you're gonna get the social pressure. Nobody's going to use a platform that allows.
We're talking about rules, not federal laws, because they still have to abide by federal laws. They'll say no child exploitation material or anything like that.
It's just like the social pressure that certain web hosting companies got for hosting anti-Semitic web pages and white supremacist web pages and things like that. They got social pressure to take those down. And that's different, right? And so there are you can go ahead and you can make nobody is going to stop you from making a platform that has no rules, that does not have any censorship. I don't like using that word in this context, because it's not. I don't see it as censorship, but censoring content, right? You can make a platform, and there are platforms that exist that allow that sort of a thing. The thing is, they're never going to be widely accepted and public in the public. Because
keep in mind, the TOS is what determines what your user base is. Like, for instance, Twitter, before Elon took over Twitter, they said that the reason that they had such a big user base was because their TOS specifically catered to a balance of what most people would be compatible with. But not everybody. They didn't say everybody. They said most people. So they tried to make it as close to family friendly as possible, get rid of death threats, get rid of things that even weren't necessarily illegal, but just considered like incredibly racist and rude and uninviting content. Yeah. By adding that to the TOS, they opened it up for more people to be able to use it safely and enjoy it and want to be there, right?
Yep.
So it gives them a bigger audience than if they just said it was a free-for-all and then everybody gets chased off and you just have the 10% of the sickest people on the planet just conversing, right? There's not really a market for that from Twitter's perspective, so they went a different direction.
early internet days at all. There are plenty of forums and BBSs and stuff that have all kind of crazy shit out there.
100%.
I've seen, man, when I was a kid, I've seen all kind of stuff out there. There's like illegal.
My problem with X though, I know, right? No, my problem directly with X
in 1996, man, would twist
100%.
some of you guys, man. You don't even know.
Oh, dude, I was on Styx. I was on Cam's Castle, fucking TRW, like all the weird sites.
But that's the thing. Like, no one is forcing a company to have these rules in place. I don't think there's anything in Section 230 that says, "Oh, you're only protected if you do these, if you have these rules in place." Right. There's nobody forcing these platforms to have rules in place for what content is okay and what's not, outside of like legitimately illegal and federally protected class sort of stuff. Like, there's no way you're going to get away with having child porn on your platform. Period.
Right.
Nobody's going to allow that.
I want to be clear.
Things like that.
I got to be clear on something though, because I think people misconstrue this a lot when I'm critical of Elon and how he treats X. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be able to do these things. I'm not saying like, oh, throw him in jail, lock him up, or get rid of this for him, like changing people. What I'm saying is that I disagree. I disagree with what he's doing because he's just bold-faced lying to people. Like but there's no law saying that he can't, as a private company, just lie his ass off. Like, that's why he took the company private. Like, there was no reason other than that to take it private. Was because if it's not private and it's public, he is beholden to the investors and the board, which can rein him in and say, listen, what you're doing isn't good for the overall like size of the platform and fairness of the platform, which is what brings in our money and brings in our advertisers. By him going private, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can lie through his teeth. There's no FTC oversight. There's no board oversight. There's no investor oversight.
Outside of certain very, very particular, there are certain rules, because a private company can't do just anything they want.
Sure. Yeah, they have to abide by federal law, obviously,
and things like that.
Yeah.
But he can make the rules. He can come out and say one day nobody's allowed to use the word "and" anymore.
Yeah, he has effectively.
With cis and things like that, and that's totally okay. It's fine. He can make up the rules however he wants. And because that's the way it is.
So just realize my problem with him. My problem with him is that he's a liar and a hypocrite. I'm not saying he can't do these things. I'm just calling him out for doing them.
Yeah.
So I can't just like snap my fingers and say, oh, take the platform away from him because he's lying to everybody. People lie about shit all the time. I'm just calling him out for it because I think that it's disingenuous for somebody with his following and his exposure to be telling people one thing and then doing another, and then hiding the fact that he's doing it so that they can't figure it out. I find it just hugely misleading, and that's why I call it out.
Removing the community notes on stuff and things. I don't know, whatever. But that's the long and the short of it when it comes to Section 230. I don't think it should be.
I don't agree companies should be held accountable for the actions of the users on their platforms. However, I will say I don't have a problem with good faith attempts by platforms to rein in dangerous users.
Same.
So by dangerous, I mean like physically dangerous. I'm not talking about people that just disagree with you on a topic or something like that. I'm talking about people that are like threatening your lives and shit like that, which sadly Elon doesn't do anything about these days.
And they're terrible at applying the rules equally and equitably. Like that is a rampant problem across all of it. Whether it's automated systems, like when you can get mass reportings on a post, and then suddenly somebody's banned, and that like there should be a great deal more transparency on across every platform, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, Twitter, whatever the fuck. Transparency on why you got banned. Like something as simple as like, we got a lot of reports that this was blah blah blah, and like our automated system got this thing. Like whatever.
I do disagree with him calling it a public square. Again, it's not it's not
anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not a public square. Not by a long shot. Yeah. And the thing is, you can verify this. This isn't opinion. This isn't opinion. This is quantifiable fact. You can go and look at the source code on GitHub, and you can see where posts are being demoted and where posts are having their visibility increased based purely on the content of the post. That right there changes the entire dynamic of the site. You're basically going into the public square and putting muzzles on people that you don't like what they say, and giving bullhorns to the people that you do like what they're saying, and you exclusively control the bullhorn and muzzle distribution. That I disagree with. Is it illegal? No. But I do disagree with it. I think that it's bullshit.
Right.
And I think that Elon is a lying conman fucking prick, and anybody that does any research can figure that out in 5 fucking minutes. But most people are blinded to it and don't do the research. Fair point. I was too. Look at how many years I defended that fucking guy. I feel disgusted. Like, I defended him like a fucking superhero. Hell, even one of my smartest and richest friends that I've ever had in my entire life literally sucked on the Elon cock and was just fooled like the rest of us for 3 years, and was even like a big part of him, huge amounts of money invested, everything. Elon was very convincing for a very long time.
That's the difference. Is before it started being more in the public space, he was doing cool things. Like, go ahead, spend all the billions you want on pumping up space travel and pumping up electric vehicles and stuff. Like, you got to give him credit. The pumping up Tesla totally mainstreamed electric vehicles. Like, we would not be where we are right now.
How it actually happened.
If not for like the publicity that Tesla got early on, like Ford and all these other extra EVs that we see right now, my spaceship would not exist right now if not for that. If you just stayed quiet and just instead fucking put money wherever, none of this craziness would be happening.
To be clear, though, a lot of people skip over this, and this is one thing I'd like to correct, because I think a lot of people make this mistake. Is they're like, Elon early on, before he came on X and he became a social media addict and a ketamine addict and everything, he was like, he did all this good stuff. No, he didn't. He paid a really good PR team to lie their fucking asses off and make him look good and author everything he said and curate everything he said and did, up until a point where he was so filthy rich he just didn't give a fuck, fired him, and then just went full aggro. Like, Elon has always been this way. People think that he just like flipped. It's like, oh, Elon, you've changed. No, he has been the same. Yeah. Same Elon all the way going back to 2012. Even before that, when he was doing the PayPal shit, he was the same guy.
The Zip2 and PayPal stuff. Yeah.
His entire backstory, his entire persona, everything was well crafted by people that were paid a lot of money to make him look good and to control the news cycle. Most people don't figure that out until later on. When you actually do the research and you start to realize, wait a second, his backstory doesn't match anything he said. The things that he did at these companies like Zip2 and shit didn't go down like he said at all. Like, the only company out of any of them he's an actual founder of is SpaceX. Every single other one, he only came in when the company was actually being looked at by other investors as the next big thing. He'd come in, befriend them, go to the top, earn their trust, get into a position of power, vote against them, kick out all the people that were a threat to him, and then take over. And then he would be the funnel between the finance and the company so that he could hold them by the balls. That's what he did with every deal, including Tesla. Tesla's no different. When he came into Tesla, he almost destroyed the company, by the way. A lot of people don't realize the first Roadster failed. Like, every car failed. That's why you don't see an original Roadster on the road anymore unless they've been retrofitted by a third party. They are all fucking dead in a graveyard somewhere, right?
That's too bad.
And he almost killed the company. It almost went bankrupt. And you know how he got money? Now people say, oh, but he did save the company. He did get another round of investment when he shouldn't have. You're damn right he did, but it's because he lied. The dude is a fucking compulsive liar. He lies about everything. He's like, oh, I got a robot. I got a robot that can do this and this and this. I got full self-driving cars. I got an automated taxi to make $30,000 a year. He didn't have any of the shit. Everything he's ever promised, it's been to Theranos. Exact same as Theranos. He does not have the tech.
On Mars by now?
Yeah. He literally, everything he's ever said that Tesla has, even SpaceX. Falcon 9, I would say, is the closest thing to the truth out of anything he's ever done. Yeah. And even that almost failed. He wasn't supposed to get a fourth launch. The only reason he got a fourth launch is because he did some creative accounting to pull in money from sources, including the U.S. government subsidizing it when he specifically said for like 10 years, oh, they didn't subsidize shit. We don't take subsidies. We think subsidies are stupid. The subsidies are what gave them the fourth run to make it successful. Now, is it a successful platform? Hell yes, it is. Is Falcon 9 the most reliable, like cheapest way to space possible? Oh, by fucking leaps and bounds. I look at SpaceX and achievements separate from Elon. Now, I understand you can't really separate them because the lies that Elon told ultimately in some of these cases are the reason that they succeeded in the first place. However, I will say that it's the outcome is good, but is it really justified? Like, is it really justified when you have somebody that's basically doing the same thing as somebody who went to jail for 25 years or whatever, like Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos? He literally did the exact same thing as her, but at a scale 100 times worse. And just because he managed to have it work out, like in the end, he's alleviated of all wrongdoing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of bullshit. Like I think that's where it's ass. And now, don't get me wrong. Did he take the risk? Yeah, risk versus reward. Everything in life is risk versus reward. Elon rolled the shit out of them dice, because there's a couple times like where Elon did shit that was like all or nothing. He just threw all of his balls on the table and he's like, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna poker face, and if they call my bluff, I'm fucked. Right? and he did have his bluff called multiple times. Look at OpenAI. OpenAI is the most successful AI company on the planet by like leaps and bounds. Like if you look across all of the LLMs, they're living on a different planet right now. Elon even tried to sue them, but again, Elon lied, right? All the emails came out and Elon withdrew his lawsuit because, they made him look like the liar that he is, because they posted all the evidence that showed that Elon directly lied to his entire audience, his investors, everybody. So he pulled out. But again, why was Elon suing him? It wasn't because he thought that they were violating their mission. He was suing them because they refused to sell to him, and then they became his biggest competitor in the space. So they wanted to force them to basically give up all of their intellectual property publicly so he could pick it up and run with it, and then he could close source his shit and take over the market, which is what he likes to do, right? He doesn't play fair. But again, most business people don't, right? And I'm not saying that, but the thing that's unique about Elon that I don't like is that he will straight up just bold-faced lie, like right to your face during an interview and be like, I am a free speech absolutist. I don't like censorship. I am here to save humanity, blah, blah. I don't care about money. He said this so many times. I don't care about money. I do this because of the love in my heart. And then you fast forward like 3 days and he's like, if you don't give me $50 billion, I'm leaving Tesla. Yeah. Like when he just said money doesn't motivate him. Like his entire career, if you look at him, money don't motivate me. I'm the richest man on earth. Money don't mean shit.
Like
he's a liar.
That's a weird one too. I don't care. I have no skin in the game when it comes to Tesla payouts or whatever. If they had agreed to hitting certain KPIs and he did so, then whatever. And I don't know enough about like the Delaware decision or whatever from the Chancery about why they disagreed and pulled it away from him.
Well, because he cheated. He cheated. He did not follow the spirit of the rules.
Thing, right? Like okay, if I bring the stock value to whatever 1,000 and I'm supposed to get cool bonuses for that, but then you go and fraud, you lie about it, like, oh yeah, FSD coming in August, or robo taxis, all the Teslas are going to be robo taxis in August, right? No, that's not going to happen.
Let me give you an example.
That's fraud, right? That's stock manipulation.
Yeah, here's the thing. I want to ask you a question about fraud. Point, right? What do you consider this fraud or not? I want to see. Let's say I have 100 million people following me, right? So I have 100 million, a third of the population of the United States of America following me and can see everything that I say, right? And I agree with the company. I go to a company, I say, listen, if I can make your stock price, 420 on this day, you have to give me $50 billion. And then every year after that, if I hit this 420, you have to give me another $50 billion, right? And I negotiate that. But then you didn't know that I can just go out and message everybody the day before and say, everybody go buy one stock. Out of 100 million people, it boosts up to 700. He dumps the difference, drops it down to 420, hits the bonus projection, but then it falls under target, where if it was actually done properly in the spirit of what he promised, the stock would keep going up in value. But Tesla has stagnated because every time it hits a target and it starts running away, gets up $700,000-$800,000, he fucking dumps it back down to where it was by selling off stock after claiming that he would not sell stock. He's done it 3 times now where he said, I will never sell stock. I will be the first person in, last person out. And 3 times now he sold huge amounts of stock, which brought the stock price back under the target. So he basically just keeps hit the target, go in, steal all the money and revenue generated from that after he hits the target, then get another $50 billion from the company, rinse and repeat every year using social media.
Right? Yeah.
And he bought Twitter for that reason. Anybody thinks he bought Twitter for any other reason other than to just manipulate stocks and manipulate politics is fucking drunk.
I thought he was supposed to be getting, I don't know, we're getting way off on a different.
No, I love this. I fucking love this right now. This is my jam.
I know. It's just, I thought he was supposed to be under the thumb for that stuff. Like the SEC got pissed like twice.
That was a long time ago. That was only for 2 years or a year, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's out from under all that and has been for a long time.
Then that is 100% stock manipulation. So
Elon got hit with insider trading, and he had to pay a $20 million fine when he made $3.2 billion. So he made $3.2 billion. This is that argument. The argument I always make that's like, would you rob a bank? If you could rob a bank and get $1 million, but then when you go out in the parking lot, the cops are waiting for you and you just give them $20 and they let you go, would you go back and rob that bank again, or would you have learned your lesson and not rob the bank again, knowing that you'd always come out with $1 million minus $20 every time you did it with no risk? That's literally what Elon does. Elon goes in, he fucking manipulates the stock. The SEC goes, bad Elon, you have to pay a $20 million fine because we don't have a jail system that can put away somebody like you.
That's a problem for all these companies. It is. Like it was just recently
until you're broke, we can't put you in jail.
EA got fined in the UK or something I think it was for like gambling stuff or something like that. But the fine was like $1 million. It was like $1.2 million or something. I'm like, dude, that's a rounding error to them. Who gives a shit? Like it has to hurt, or who cares? Like they build that into the projections and shit. Like nobody cares. $1 million when they made $4 billion in profit on Fortnite or whatever, whatever. Like fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
it's like and then that's for all of that shit. Nobody. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like there's caps even on like how much they're allowed to punish these companies sometimes. Like
they call them what they call them maximums. There's maximums on every law.
Hurt you is $1 million, and like we're gonna keep an eye on you for the next 5 years or something. Like it's so dumb. It needs to be like a percentage or something of your total revenue, or it's supposed to hurt. It's got to hurt. Otherwise, who gives a shit? It's just and
the thing is, it actually served the opposite effect, because when you say, hey, Elon, listen, you had to pay a $20 million fine, but you made $3.2 billion, right? So by showing him that, by like going through the legal process and showing him that, he never had to spend a day in jail, he never had to go to court, he never had to do it, his lawyers did it all on the sideline, and he came out net positive 3.1 whatever billion minus the 20 for the fine, right? So now he knows that. Like now you've just shown him that is the maximum penalty. So as long as everything he does, that he can break $20 million in profit, he knows it's worth doing. And because he has such a huge reach, nearly anything he does, like he could literally just go on there and be like, hey, everybody go buy this stock and do that. He was doing that for a while, by the way. I don't know. Luckily, he pulled back a little bit when he was doing the whole game stocks thing, where he was just calling out, like he'd just call out a stock symbol and like post a meme like to the moon or whatever. The SEC wasn't really thrilled about that. But he was like gaming that thing too. Remember what he did with the Dogecoin, where he's like buying up all the fucking Dogecoin and stuff and manipulating the crypto market?
We're going to accept Doge in 3 months, we're going to accept Doge for you to buy Teslas and stuff. And
he fucking lied. Nope. He did it for like 3 days and then shut it down after everybody went and got all this Dogecoin, mined this Dogecoin. He's like, oh, Doge to the moon, Doge for life, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, just kidding. Just kidding. You could buy a Tesla with Doge for 3 days. No, we decided against it. We changed our mind, even though I got you guys all hyped up and fucking boosted Doge to the moon. And then he can dump shitloads of it, which he did, because a ton of whales dumped. Like that's what brought it back down, right? When it was on that huge climb. So he basically bought a shitload of Doge when it was worth nothing. Then he went in and got everybody hyped about, you can buy a Tesla with Doge, and then it's only half the price. Like you can buy a Tesla for like half the price with the way it's trending right now. And then everybody goes and buys the Doge. It boosts up. He sells it just like he did with the Tesla stock every time he hit his target, right? He figures out how much Doge can I sell to just drop it down to the level it was before, and then nobody else will sell because they're underwater or they wouldn't make anything. So then he just boosts it, jumps the gun, grabs everybody's bags, and then just does it again, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And it's like some people say, hey, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? He can get away with this. So hey, power to him for doing that. And it's like, I don't see it that way. I'm like, he is hugely manipulating his user base over and over and over again and lying through his goddamn teeth, knowing that the SEC can't hold him accountable, knowing that our legal system can't hold him accountable. You can't put him in jail. Even if he committed like fucking murder, you cannot put Elon Musk in jail. The liability on the system, if he gets shanked or something like that, or if a guard mistreats him or he hangs himself or whatever, like that's way too much risk. You can't jail people like that, right? So what do? Put him on house arrest? Where? Everything's his house. He owns like fucking like Boca Chica and he's moving Tesla. I mean, you wouldn't restrict his movements hardly at all. So there's really no punishment you can do.
Ankle thing, and he can't leave the Texas Giga factory.
Yeah.
Period. Also, he got to sleep on the floor like he claims he's done.
Also, what about this? He controls SpaceX. Like he unilaterally, as a private company, controls SpaceX. If he wants to go in there tomorrow and say, hey, take those 3 starships and just blow them up, take them out in the field and just blow them up, they'll do it. Like he has that level of control of SpaceX. The U.S. government needs SpaceX to get to orbit because Russia isn't going to let us fucking fly on their Soyuz anymore with everything going on right now. So we need SpaceX. To be fair,
NASA is developing their own rockets again too. Like
they are, but the Starliner hasn't been going so great. It's been having a couple little setbacks, and plus, what does it cost? Like $1 billion or whatever. Like it's still way expensive. Like that's the problem. Is like we got another delivery system, but if it costs as much as the previous system, why don't we just keep the previous system?
That drives me bonkers.
Dude, it's wild. It's wild. But we need access to space. Like that's an important thing, right? For national security, for monitoring weather, natural disasters, spying, all of the above. We need access to space. which means that Elon knows he's untouchable. And that's the thing that actually like irks me the most, is he knows he's fucking untouchable. Like the dude knows that, and that's why, like, why does he say this stupid shit all the time? Why does he go on social media? Why is he so racist and transphobic? And why is he just such a fucking dick now? And the answer is because he can be. There is nobody that can check him. The legal system can't touch him. The U.S. government can't punish him, because if you punish him, you hurt the very system that the government relies on to get to space. They need his Starlink. Do they want him going to a competitor? Do they want him selling Starlink to Russia? Fuck no. He could technically. So it's not a national. Starlink is a privately owned like internet provider in low Earth orbit. It's not like the government can say, "Ooh, national security." It's like, no, he could sell that to Russia if he wanted to. He could sell that to China if he wanted to. So they have to basically just like spread his butt cheeks and like, you know, so you know, so he can get away with murder, and he will get away with murder. I'm just saying, I just call it out. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I just like to call it out because I like calling the fucking the kettle black, right? I like people to be able to see the truth, because the dude just lies through his fucking teeth all the time, right? But the truth is, not a lot of people see what I say, because again, as a part of my fact-finding mission, I went through and I used an alt account so that I could trace and see what was visible and what wasn't visible, so I could see how AI was analyzing these posts to boost them or reduce them. And I found quite a few concerning things. And there is a reason why mostly extreme right content and extremely racist content is trending on X at like an unprecedented rate. That's more on track with Truth Social than it is any other platform. And it's because Elon has specifically ordered the alteration of the algorithm to be incredibly anti-free speech and incredibly censored. But he doesn't tell people that. But the data shows it. The data clearly shows it. Hey, Aubrey. Thank you for the 350 czars.
Hey, right on.
Woo! Czartastic! Yeah! Woo! Love you a long time. Hey, can you take over for a second while I go drain my old man bladder? By the way, Graham's in chat, too.
Right on.
Hey, when I get back, I'll tell you guys about my 3D printed headphones.
Yeah, 3D printed headphones. Any government could see Starlink. I mean, they could just blow them out of the sky if they wanted to. Oh, you know. I don't know. This man, we're living in very interesting times, I have to say. I feel like we're on the cusp of a new sort of I don't want to say golden age, but like a renaissance of sorts. I feel like it's going to take a while still, but it's building. It's coming. I feel like it comes to mind. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Right now, yeah. End times, and in a sense, not like apocalyptic or anything, but a massive societal shift, I think.
Say what?
In one way or another. Oh, I was just saying that like we're living in very interesting times, and I feel like we're I want to say on the cusp of a societal shift, not just the United States but the world.
I agree.
But not in a. It's still going to take a while, right? Like these, I say on the cusp, but these things take a while. You know, like I'd say decade span. Like
I feel like it's been greatly accelerated by technology, like specifically AI. I'd say specifically AI has put a huge increase on the shift, the social shift that we're seeing.
I think this newer generation, you know, like part of like my oldest and younger, they're gonna really start making some big things, and I'm talking like big disruptive things. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the United States economy collapses at some point.
I feel like it's possible
because they're not, because people just aren't putting up with the shit anymore, and there's going to be a point where they're just going to get fed up with it, and I think that we're going to see like a more of a return to sort of tribalistic sort of thing.
I feel like we're kind of already seeing it, like right now.
Yeah, I mean, and really because it's the only way to survive, right? Like you're going to start seeing more multi-generational households. I think you're going to start seeing small communes and things like that. People banding together, and because it's really the only way to fucking buy a house or anything like that. Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing more of that sort of thing.
Can you think of any other point in your life, like as far back as you can remember, where we have had a more partisan government and a more partisan divided like people than we do now. Like ever since 2016, I have seen a sharp increase. Like
I'd say there.
On both sides, mind you. I'm not even picking a side. I'm saying just literally where there used to be a way bigger gray area in the middle. I feel like that's dissolved away, and now it's like even Congress is like no negotiation. You're either on this side or you're this side. Nobody wants to negotiate.
It feels actually very. This sort of thing is fairly cyclical. There's a concept of that there's these historic blocks of like 80 to 100 years or so that we go through, and it's similar to the concept of like hard times make great men make soft times make weak men make hard times, right? Like that sort of cycle. And I feel like like I said, we're on the sort of cusp of we're in the bad part, right? Soft people have made hard times, and these hard times are going to make for good people, and those good people are going to make for good times. We're on the cusp of the hard times making good people. And again, and actually you can look back, because I would point to like World War I, World War II ish. They happen so close together that it's kind of the same sort of cycle. The segregation and stuff, right? Civil rights movement. That's another sort of part of that cycle. That's the ending of one, right? That's the bad times making for good people, right there. That kind of thing. Or hard men make good times. And I think we're in a cusp of that. We're on a similar cusp of that. We're in hard times that are going to make for good people, and those good people are going to make. You know where
I think the difference really lies, though, like versus every past event that has happened. Now, you may very well be right that this happens in blocks, but what I think makes this a lot more extreme than it's ever been before is technology. Technology has connected us so quickly. Information moves so fucking fast, and now AI is even like making it hard to tell what's real and what isn't. Like, quite frankly, like it's making it very. It's creating these huge blurry areas that confuse people and make people believe that they're voting in their own interest, for instance, and they're not. Like people will directly vote. Like I've been seeing this whole campaign being boosted by Elon over on X. That's like, oh, Biden's a pedo, blah blah blah. But they won't post anything about his daughter actually clarifying what happened. Like the actual presumed victim speaking herself, explaining like what happened, and it wasn't really her train of thought, and it didn't really happen, and these were things that were in her journal, blah blah blah. They cut all that off and hide it, and make sure that they're only putting out, and they're like, oh, we feel so bad for her. She's a victim. She's this terrible thing. You know, trying to look like they're appealing to that. But it's like they know the truth, and they're purposefully manipulating it, saying you should vote for this other guy that literally admitted to being a pedo. Like he actually like straight up himself admitted to being a pedo, saying that he looked at underage girls behind the scenes and everything like that. And even like went on Howard Stern and bragged about it. And he's Doe's 174 in the Epstein files that he said he wouldn't release. All I'm saying is it's just really bizarre that the position that you can take with social media is you can spin the other side. Like you can literally just project everything that's happened on your side over on the other side and make people vote against their own interests.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me is they can't see one side of the information because they're just so used to using one platform, you know, so they can't see everything.
Yeah, Rosen will kind of put the right tag on it. It's like this is like it was in the U.S. during the early 1900s. It was wild back then. Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean is right at the, because what you have the stock market collapse in the 20s.
Yep.
The
Great Depression.
There was World War I. There was World War I just before that. The Great Depression. World War II come right after.
Inflation, multiple inflation periods.
That's the shitty times, right? World War II. A lot of bad devastation, all kind of crazy, horrible stuff. Coming out of that was a bit of and this is more for the United States because everybody else was like having to rebuild from World War II. But there was a bit of a golden age and a progressiveness. And there's a big explosion of all kinds of advancement, whether it was social or technological. There was a huge boom during and after World War II, right? All kinds of cool stuff is coming out. And we had huge social shifts and stuff too. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of great, big, massive things were happening despite some of the bad things were still happening during those times too. But even still, like there was progress there, and there was social progress. There was technological progress. There was economic progress. Like everything got so much better after these like maybe 40 years of like 40, 50 years of shit. And and I feel like we're at the tail end of another sort of 40-50 years of shit, sort of, because like I would say honestly
5 years
ending
it'll compress into 5 years
of that rise of greatness. The ending of that was probably the late 90s. Honestly, the internet bubble popping, that's where things started coming down. And so we're 25 years or so into the progress of shitty times. And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think it's going to be maybe I do think it's going to happen quicker than it has in the past. Like you were saying, technology has allowed us to communicate and a lot faster, and band together better. I feel like that's part of why the United States is trying to ban TikTok, is because it was a good platform for the younger people to come together and communicate and spread 100%. Awareness of whatever it is that they're trying to spread awareness of.
Yep. But then you have a platform that gets to pick which group is more prominent and which group isn't, to give the illusion that a majority exists where it does not. And that's where people get kind of fooled by it. Same thing happens on X. Same thing happens on TikTok. Like there's no mistake. TikTok 100% scrolling through, even my own feed on there, 100% leans right. 100% leans right. Like really? No question. And it's because
I don't get that from TikTok at all. I don't.
Because even my wife's account, she doesn't do any politics whatsoever, and I scroll through her feed and I still see a major uptick, and the engagement's higher on the conservative stuff. Yeah. I don't know if it's because China's like a lot of concern. I mean, I thought they were just like, they were more a little bit more of a dictatorship over there. I didn't really see them as having a lot of well, I don't know, maybe they do have conservative values. I know they have more conservative values than liberal values, but still. I think that the problem that we run into right now is that people have become dependent on social media as their means of communication, yet you have an intermediate party sitting in between deciding when and when you can't see stuff. And because they control when you can't see stuff, they inherently control your information, which means they control your viewpoint. So to varying degrees, right? If you're a person that's informed and goes to a lot of sites and gets like a good balance of information, then you may be somebody who's immune to it. However, most people just pick a platform that they're comfortable with, where most other people are, and that's where they hang out and do their thing, right? So that's the problem that you run into, is when somebody controls that platform and puts a bias on there without making it clear to the public. Now you're slowly seeing a transition that looks like your friends and the majority and everything are agreeing to one thing and not the other thing. And then you may be more inclined to agree with them or accept that as fact, when in reality it's not, because your information is being controlled. Your feed is being controlled and you don't know it. And that's the thing. If they had to advertise it, like if it was straight up advertised, like, listen, this platform leans to this level. This is what we advertise. If you say talk about, you're only going to get 1/4 as many views if you say this versus this. And there's the carrot and the stick problem. Here, hold on. Let me finish real quick. The carrot and the stick problem that you run into on social media too is, and this is human psychology. Okay, if I post something, I get a dopamine hit when people engage me. Right. That's why people like social media. Right. It's people recognize what you're sharing. It feels good. You're like, look, I'm people think I'm popular. It's the whole popularity thing. So you post that. Well, what happens when somebody comes in and upsets that without you knowing, where it's like you post one thing, you get almost no views, and then you post another thing and you get a ton of views? Which thing are you more likely to post more of? The thing that gets you a lot of views. Subconsciously, you're going to chase what gets the most attention, because you're going to draw the conclusion in your head that things that don't get a lot of engagement aren't popular. Things that get a lot of engagement are. Now, that normally would be true, all things created equally, but when you're talking about a platform that's pulling the strings behind the scenes, now they're changing the kid's perspective, because the kid is like, wait, when I post about how cool, say, like Trump is or Putin is or something, I get a lot of engagement. I get a lot of attention. But if I post the other thing, it's like crickets chirp and I get 7 views. It's not that great. And that's exactly what's happening on X right now. I've even proved some posts, if you use certain keywords and stuff, you'll only get like 100 views and it just craps out after that.
Yeah.
And you won't show up in anybody's For You feeds. Huh?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's my problem, is like if people use that as, if they pick a primary information source and they don't understand at a technical level, because let's be honest, most people don't really dig into the technology and the algorithm stuff. They're just like, I like this platform. I go there and post things and I look at things and I enjoy myself. Right. But when you're subconsciously being manipulated into believing one thing is the majority, like the most people engage with this, the most people believe this to be true, even when in reality that could be 5% of the people versus 95% of the people, but you're just unaware of it because of how skewed it is on the back end, that creates some serious repercussions in the future.
I think there's a difference though between like say TikTok, because like I'm surprised to hear that you and maybe your lady are getting more like right leaning or conservative stuff, because you don't want to see that. right? And there's a difference there between. I feel like TikTok's a little bit more of a passive engagement, right? Like there are people who comment and that sort of thing, but the weight on TikTok is more the watch time, right? They want to keep you on the platform. So it doesn't make sense to them, to me, that they would feed you content that is offensive or causes bad feelings inside of you.
What content are you more likely to respond to? Something negative or something positive?
That's what I mean. Like, why does the platform isn't built for comments and things like that? It does happen, and it's a feature, but the main like hook of TikTok is the passive consumption of the content, not the communicative part, right? Where Twitter, that's different. Twitter makes sense that they would feed you stuff that makes you angry and make you want to respond, because their main hook is the text part of it, right? They want you to comment, they want you to share this, and they want you to engage in that sort of communication and that sort of conversation, where TikTok is much more passive. But TikTok, you just watch the videos. And now if they want to elicit a comment from you, if they want to elicit that sort of engagement from you, then it makes sense to put that sort of enragement sort of content in front of you, because then you're going to comment and say, oh man, this is fucking stupid and I don't want to see this, blah, blah, blah. But like, if to me, and maybe it's just how I use it, and I don't want to see that stuff, so I don't engage with that. I deliberately will say like, nope, I don't want to see this and that kind of thing. And so I get like lawn mowing videos and like docs and shit and stuff like that, because that's what I watch, that's what I like and engage with the most. And so in that sense, it kind of depends on what the goal of the platform is, right? And so again, it makes sense that Twitter would want to feed you stuff that is going to cause you to be upset and rage, because that is going to get the response that they want out of you. But TikTok wants you to stay on the platform and buy shit now, because it's more like a giant fucking QVC.
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody, it's money. Money drives everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right?
All roads lead to money.
It's in their best interest to keep you on the platform by feeding you things that you want to see, the things and that sort of stuff from creators that are, that are more like you in that sense.
Let me ask you though, have you ever been scrolling through TikTok? And again, this might just be me and some of my friends that I've talked to, but have you ever scrolled through and you see something that pops up in your feed? It might not happen very often, but it pops in your feed and it's so fucking wrong and egregious that you will actually go and leave a comment, even though you normally don't comment on shit, just because you're like, fuck, this is so horribly wrong. It bugs me. I need to at least put my 2 cents in here. And it's when you do that and you break form, that one time you do that, now you create another branch where other people will feed off that. Now your audience sees something they normally wouldn't see because you were so pissed off about it.
I catch myself more often than not. I catch myself from the commenting because I know
I know
that's what they're trying to get me.
Yeah.
I don't want to encourage that behavior. I want to foster positivity, and I want to see happy puppy pictures. I want to see guys doing the fucking crisp ass, edging on the lawn and that kind of thing. I want to see stuff from that guy Thor who makes video games. Pirate software guy, right? I want to see more of that kind of shit. That's fucking cool to me. But yes, and even just recently on Threads, there was a guy. I don't think he was. I get only in retrospect. I don't think he's from the United States. But he was talking about how I don't understand why we put so much time and effort into going to Mars. This is fucking dumb. And like I'm a fan of space. Okay,
oh, me too. Me too.
I think we should be putting way more effort into space exploration and shit. And I go. I kind of, not real bad. I didn't go like off on the guy, but I'm like, holy shit, you don't know like the technological advancements that have come out of NASA. I'm like, something as simple as Velcro, memory foam, microwave ovens, MRI, LASIK,
all linked to space.
All of this is because of NASA, because we tried to go to the fucking moon. And I don't know exactly what's come out of going to Mars, but I guarantee we've found out material sciences, physical sciences, medical. We figured out all kind of cool shit from going to space, going to Mars. We developed a whole new kind of helicopter to fly in.
Yeah, you're right.
Like no atmosphere kind of shit. And I got a little spicy with the guy, and he responded back like, "Well, I didn't mean like all of space. I just meant Mars." And he's like, "I'm sorry, we kind of chilled each other out a little bit and whatnot." Yeah, cordless tools, groove highways, all kinds of stuff coming out of space, man. But I got no skin in the game out of my tax dollar other than my tax dollars. But man, I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
It's right up there with medical science for me. Like the stuff that has come out of NASA off of a half a penny per dollar of tax dollars. Holy cow! man, imagine if they got a whole penny or like 5 cents per tax dollar or something. We'd be living on Mars right now. You know what I mean? We'd have a fucking refueling station behind the moon to get to Jupiter and shit. Like, it'd be amazing. But
my point is that guy did manage to get you to break your normal form, and because of that, now he gets more comments, more engagement, more views, and that pushes him to a higher echelon where people that wouldn't have seen him before now see him, and now they may fall prey to the same thing. And this is I don't know what the effect. There's a name for it. There's a name for it where it's like negativity can boost something massively. Like if you can get both sides to engage.
Yeah. It is the more
if you take the middle,
it elicits the response more.
If you take the middle, both sides will hate you. But if you take one side, then one side loves you, the other side hates you, but the side that hates you will want to engage even more, and then the side that loves you will want to defend you against that criticism, and it creates this feedback loop.
Yeah, man. At some point, you have like, and this
YouTube had to change their algorithm because all the fucking reply channels or whatever were going to the top because people were just watching videos going, eating popcorn, like, oh, that was funny. Yeah. And they were getting more views than the actual videos they were showing because they were preying on that anger that people had. Like every comment was like, fuck you, you're stealing content, you content thief. And it was like boosting them and giving them more views and more money.
Yep. And the thing is, though, like, even as if you're like you and I, who at least semi want to have a platform or an audience, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You have to take a stand. You have to have an opinion on certain things. There's some stuff that I don't like talking about publicly. And that's because I don't want to deal with the negativity that comes along with it. And it happens here on Tech Talk often enough and things like, it's not even just all political either. It's just, there are some subjects I don't want to talk about because I don't want to hear it. I don't, you're not changing my mind. I'm not changing your mind.
Exactly.
Not you personally, but the audience or whoever who's going to have the opposite thing. I don't want to get into it because I'm not here to change people's minds. I'm not not to pick on D-Pat or right. I wasn't trying to change your mind. I was just speaking my side of the thing. I'm going to forget all about this conversation as soon as Tech Talk is over, and it's not going to really matter. It's not going to mess with my day. But at the same time, I felt it important to speak my piece on that because that is something I have an opinion on, and I'm willing to hear both sides of it and all that kind of thing. I might not necessarily change my space, but it was something that, and there are some topics like I will, don't get me started, that kind of stuff.
Oh, dude, I financially hurt myself so bad weighing in on things just because my morality kicks in and and pushes me in a backseat as far as, because you're supposed to have two minds. You're supposed to be able to separate professional from personal, right? And a lot of people can do that, especially in this business. I can't. I can't. I'm one of those people where it's like, I see injustice, I gotta fucking say something. Like when it's affecting me.
To an extent, a big part of your personal is professional.
It is. Like, it is. I'm the same person. I am Barnacules. Barnacules is Jerry.
I have.
Right.
And part of that is just because you've been doing this for so long. You're at some point you're gonna, like, I've tried really hard not to be too specific about like my wife and my kids and things like that. I don't use their real names and things like that often, if at all. I try really hard not to.
I'm definitely way more of an open book, and I paid for it. Like, I've definitely paid for it.
And that's for them. That's on them, because at some point, I know at some point, there's gonna, if I keep doing this and I really put more and more effort into it, there's gonna come a point where I'll say something or I'll have an opinion and I'll do something that's gonna cause backlash, and they're gonna catch some of it. And I want to reduce that as much as possible, because that's not fair, and I think that's really shitty. People shouldn't do that.
For me,
I agree with you guys on tons of stuff, but I like you and watch every week. And that's it too, man. There's some things that I'm not like, that, there's like human beings and shit, like you don't hold, I don't know, I don't want to go down that path, but you know what I mean.
Here, since you won't say it, I will.
Like my neighbor kind of defended Elon, right? That doesn't bother me. I don't think he's a bad person for having his opinions on Tesla or Elon, whatever. I don't give a shit, because he's a cool dude and we have good talk. And I know, like, at the core of his like character, he is a mostly good person in my opinion. Right. So like his opinions on Musk or Tesla or whatever the fuck don't really change that. Like, he's coming from a place of trying to do the best thing he can for his family. He's not out here like holding people back and whatnot, or trying to support people. It kind of like, right. It's a weird mix. People are multifaceted, and like we can have these sorts of disagreements and still like
I have limits.
Friendly, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's limits. There's some things that are non-negotiable, and that's okay.
Like I'm not going to sit down with like a fucking child molester and have a beer and agree to disagree, right?
No, yeah.
That's the thing. Like a Nazi, I'm not going to go sit down with a Nazi and be like, oh, you like to kill Jews, but hey, let's just not talk about it. Let's have a beer. You're kind of a funny guy, and let's talk about dogs. We both like dogs. You know, it's like I'm not going to do that. Like I do have my limits.
Yeah. There's a different. We can agree to disagree on pineapple on pizza.
Sure,
but you know, trans rights are human rights, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no arguing that.
And here's the thing: is
whatever, that kind of thing. Human rights are human rights. If you're human, you get that kind of shit. There's no wiggle room there.
Yeah. And to be fair, like one of the arguments that I run into a lot is there's people that maybe don't like Trump, but they like some of the policies, right? Like not that he's doing them, just but he's promised them, right? They like what he's promising. And I'm like, you know what? I can actually get behind that. Like I can say yes in this context with this specific thing. Like I get it. I might not agree with it. It may not be the direction I go, but I can understand why you would. Like why that benefits you, why that benefits your family. Sure. That's fine. Where it changes for me is when people are like, I like him because he hates trans people and he's a racist piece of shit. Like that's why I like him. Then I'm like, you know what? Then we got a problem. Then you're a person I don't want to interact with. Like that. Right. So, but again, both are the same ends. They both support a person, right? They're supporting a person and thereby enabling that person to have power. But one I can understand, the other one I cannot.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it's a nuance, and it's one at a time, it's one person at a time.
Yeah.
There's and even having said some of this stuff out loud, like it's flexible. Some of it is flexible, right? Some of it is nuanced, and you have to take it at one person at a time, one comment at a time, one little piece at a time. And
hey, Aubrey. Thank you for the 700 czars total. I didn't realize they did another one. That's crazy. So Aubrey did 700 czars. Also, 10 gifted memberships. Damn, Aubrey. That might be the most memberships I think I've ever received on here. Woo!
Oh, yeah. I've seen a couple of people do fives here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Daniel Terry, thank you for the $20, man. I wish I had the smoke machine on right now, but boo. Yeah, it's out of commission at the moment. Yeah. Although wait, can I turn the lights on?
I feel like that's why people like, or some folks get upset about people go to college or just like liberal indoctrination. It's like, no, man, you get exposed to different viewpoints. You get to meet new people. How many I think there was a documentary about this guy who like befriended members of the KKK. Like he didn't approach them from an angle of hate. He befriended them, invited them to dinner and like talked with them and things like that, or just little bit at a time was able to like expose these people to different viewpoints and show them how we're a lot more alike than we are different, and like completely change their minds. And he's got like a collection of coats or hats or something of the people that he has like convinced to leave. Daryl Davis, is that the guy? He's like convinced bunches of people to like leave the KKK because of just having these like thoughtful.
So he infiltrated them on like a equal level, like not trying to pull superiority complex on him, and then kind of like convert him as he was on the inside.
Yeah, and he's like a black guy, and like it says here, the headline here is that convinced 200 Klan members to give it up.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. Like, that's a lot more than we do.
Like coming at it from a place of like. Not a place of hate, but recognizing that it's oftentimes ignorance. You just don't know, like, right? Like
that is true. That is something I struggle with.
If all you've ever been exposed to is whatever, then you don't know any different. And that's why people who go to college and university and stuff end up being a lot more liberal, I guess, is because you are forced to confront alternative viewpoints. Rogue Sentinel said the military, same sort of thing. You got a bunch of people all in the same place from a lot of different backgrounds, but you all have a similar common goal, right? Yeah. We're all here to learn. We're all here to get our degrees or be doctors or be engineers or whatever, or to be army people.
There's common ground. It's common ground. Yeah.
You have a common thing together, and that's a place to start. And now it's like, oh, that's weird. You come from this place and you guys, oh man, you have fucking Jello for breakfast, and like that's weird, but how interesting, you know? That, and you learn and you grow and you confront. Oh man, you end up confronting a lot of your own stuff if you're open minded about it. If you're not, you end up probably quitting and walking away.
Yeah,
but like oh man, I got to tell you, even just on a small microcosm, having girls, I have had to answer questions, whether internally or from them, that I never thought I'd have to ask or confront. Like, you know, one of them wants to wear a 2-piece. Like,
right. That's something you've never had to like consider before from a different perspective.
Is that okay? And if I say no, why? Why do I feel like that's not okay? Why do I feel like this other thing is okay? Yep. And now I have to, because I got to explain it to myself first before I can articulate it to them. I don't want to be the guy who just says, because I said so. That's not an answer. Yep. So like, and it goes, and that spreads out to other stuff too, man. Like, what? And man, why am I not okay? Like the 230 thing, like some of that I was like, whoa, I need to like, why
it creates
do I
a conflict.
Feel this way?
It creates a conflict because you're like, the non-parent version of me would say something different than the parent version of me.
Right.
So you have an internal conflict now that you've created because you're like, why do I think it's different if it's somebody else, but when it's my kid, it's different. And
I have to reconcile that. And if I can't come up with a good enough answer inside of me, then I have to be like, whoa,
check yourself.
Maybe I shouldn't, you know, and because I actually, it was like the other way around. My lady was like, oh, I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right. The bikini thing. I'm like, well, how come? Well, she's too young. Well, what does that matter? Like she's gonna might take that in the wrong way, right? Like,
yep.
Like you can't be afraid of everybody for, you know, that kind of stuff. And like it goes on. That reminds me of conversation and things.
That reminds me of a friend of mine that I grew up with. I haven't seen him in a long time, but you know, he became a father finally, and he had a kid. And the kid was, I think he was 11 or 12. It was way before Xander was born. He had him when he was in his teens, and when the kid turned 12 or 13, he came out to his family as gay. And the dad had been like a huge supporter of LGBTQ and was like, everybody should be able to be themselves and everything. But the second that his own son came out as gay, he was disgusted and he got upset about it. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like you're on this side, you're being super supportive, but then when it's your own child that comes out to you, now you're being weird. Like that was really hard for me to process because I'm like, wait a sec. And he kind of confided to me, like he thought I'd agree with him. Like, oh yeah, this is like fucked up. Like, oh my God. They've brainwashed my kid. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? You've been an advocate for this and people being who they want to be.
That's interesting.
Now your kid entrusts you because they see you being this way to other people. They expect they trust you. You come out and then you act the opposite because, oh, you're my son. I didn't expect any son of mine to do that. Like that was only something that other people did. And I was like, that was so fucking weird to see. I was like, what?
Well, because like when it's an abstract, when it's other people.
When it's other people, you don't see it, but when it's like close to home, then all of a sudden you have a different perspective.
But then I hope that they took some time to look inside and
they're good now.
Ask that question. Why? Whoa, man, that's weird. Why do I feel like this is bad when it's right in front of me, but when it's over there, it's okay?
And I don't want to make it sound like they were like super bad, like they were confronting them, like you're not my son anymore or anything. No, it's just they were like talking to me and they're like, yeah, I'm really like disappointed. How did this happen? And I'm like, dude, it didn't happen. It just is. Huh. Like brother, like you know how this works. You've been supporting this for a long time. Like you know it. You're contradicting yourself because it's your own son. And I think it was from the perspective of like he thought, oh, I'm gonna have, you know, grandkids and gonna get married and everything. He had like his preconceived notion for his own child.
Yeah. And
it broke that.
What is the expectation, this unspoken expectation that I had that is now broken? Because that's the core of disappointment, is the expectation. Yep. And so like, oh, I had these expectations that he was going to get married, I was going to have grandkids and stuff, and now hearing that the expectation is broken, and now I'm disappointed.
Exactly, and it's like, wait a second, this doesn't mean you're not going to have grandkids. Like people adopt, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't mean they can't have a surrogate. You can even have a biological grandchild. Like there's nothing that's off the table, but all the assumptions that he made in the moment. Because like actually, you know what? I can even point. You know, I'm going to turn around and point it at myself. Yeah. I grew up working with my mom with autistic children, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I advocated for autistic children, the spectrum, everything. I was like, these kids deserve everything. Like they're no different than anybody else. Like they deserve a chance. Blah 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 blah. Now I have a child, and the doctor comes in and is like, yeah, your kid's autistic, and I freaked out. I absolutely just became silent, introverted. It took me weeks to like to just figure it out, because my biggest fear, for some reason that I never realized, was that my child would be on the spectrum. I never really considered that, like, even though I was working with autistic children. But now it's like, fast forward and I couldn't see it any other way. It's like my son is the most amazing kid ever, and I can't see him any different way. If he was neurotypical, I can't even imagine what that would look like. Like who he is has greatly molded who I am in a great way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for anything. But in the moment, I did kind of the same thing that my friend did, where it's like when I found out he was on the spectrum, I was like, no, they're full of shit. They don't know. We're going to get him retested, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't accept it.
Right. Yeah. You had an expectation.
Yeah.
That, like,
and it's like, why am I not accepting this? It's like, it's fine. Like, why am I getting all fucking freaked out about this? And it's because of those misconceptions in your head.
Yep. Right. I bet it took a little bit for you to like internalize that and be like, oh, wait a second, this is weird. Why do I feel it? And there's a neat concept I like too. I can't remember where I've seen it on social media a few times of like, your first response is like, your training essentially, like what you've kind of grew up, the response that was like kind of built into you. And then your second response is like the one that you genuinely like internally feel, right? And
I think that.
I think, you know, that again, like there's these expectations that are built into you, or these like it's surprising to people that my lady and I are not going to have kids like of our own, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's weird. You guys are, nope.
I don't believe in the whole blood thing. The blood thing is very religious to me.
Forever. I don't. What legacy, what lineage, like, well, who gives a fuck? You know, I don't.
My half sister is no less my dad's daughter than if she was his biological daughter. It makes no difference. It's who raised you.
My older sister got a different dad. I don't fucking know. It never crosses my mind. She's always just been my sister. Like,
yeah,
who gives a shit? It's all the same. I don't know. But like, I could see where that expectation, like if I had gone into this with a certain expectation or pressure or, you know, tradition or whatever to do that, finding that out would be disappointing or whatever.
Yep.
And then you get over it. I don't know.
And I know where it comes from too. Like me personally, it's like when I grew up, it's like my dad was very abusive to me. He didn't want to acknowledge that I was a son. He didn't want anything to do with me. He'd tell me every day that I was an accident and a fat piece of shit and a lard ass. And I mean, he was really abusive to me. And he was usually drunk and on drugs too when he did it. And like his friends, he'd even tell his friends like, oh yeah, no, that fat piece of shit isn't coming with us. Like, you think I'm going to drag that fucking, you know, tub of lard up there to go camping with us? And he'd do it right in front of my face. And I'd, you know, of course, run in the room, slam the door, crying. Like, it was very, very like traumatizing to me as a child, saying that my dad rejected me like so badly because I wasn't what he wanted. What he wanted was somebody doing drywall and smoking and drinking with him. And he thought he was going to have a son like him who was like pounding back beers with him when he was 12 years old. And I'm like, I wasn't that kid. I was way more like, I had more friends that were girls than boys. I was like, you know, super fucking like chill. I cared about people, had emotions. My dad saw that all as weakness and just wanted to wash it away. Like it just act like it didn't exist. And so that trauma followed me, right? It followed me. And then that causes you to overcompensate, where you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, now I do need to be, you know, the stereotypical man. And that actually was a stage in my life that caused a lot of damage and a lot of strife and a lot of strain on relationships and stuff like that, until I realized that, no, that's not the way to do it. My dad was just an asshole. Like, and again, my dad was abused too. Like, I go back and I look at the pattern of abuse, and it's like my dad, you know, his dad used to just beat the shit out of him. Like, literally hit him with like fucking baseball bats and hammers, put him in the hospital multiple times for broken bones and contusions. Like I was lucky that I didn't at least have that, right? Like, my dad tried to kill me a couple times, throwing me into rivers and shit and just chucking me out in the water to like go get a boat with my fucking shoes on, sinking to the bottom, barely able to tread water. He did a lot of stupid shit, but he didn't like beat on me with baseball bats and stuff. So to him, he saw that as, oh, you've got it lucky because it's not as bad as what I had. But from my perspective, it was still way worse than any of my friends. So it was still really bad. So I think perspective changes like people, like what you see and what you raise up with defines how you are. Like, I think it's one of the biggest things about your personality is your environment growing up, right? Environment plus time, environment plus experiences plus time equal personality. You know, as you get older, and it's like, as you gain more, like you said, when you go to college, right? Like, why do people who go to college tend to be more liberal? Like you said, they're around more diverse people. They learn about new people's existence. They learn about the misconceptions that they had. They start to understand and like people because they're close and in proximity to them. So it's natural to forge relationships. So these things like soften things, and it changes their personality. If they'd not had that experience, they would still potentially be the same introverted person that they were before. So it's like those experiences change and define you over time. And that's, again, why I kind of go back to like the scary thing about people now communicating primarily online instead of in real life. And especially after the pandemic, where people are just really used to like hanging out in fucking lobbies and talking on Discord and stuff like that. Like when all your communications become digital, it's a lot easier for everything in between you and them to manipulate your perception. You know, what you can see and what you can't see, how fast you see one thing versus you see in another thing. All of those things can forge and manipulate your worldview.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't go to a lot of different places. They just go to where all their friends happen to be. Like I'm one of the, like I might go to like Facebook and X stuff because I have accounts everywhere because I'm a content creator. But do I still have a platform I use more than all of them? Yeah, everybody does. Yeah. Everybody has that one platform where it's like, maybe I use this platform for posting. Maybe I use this platform for commenting. Whichever one has the most people that do the thing that I want to do, right? That's where I go. But it's like how that platform governs itself can actually change that college campus and who I interact with, how I interact with them, what I see. And that can forge and change my personality over time. And I do believe it has. Like I've talked to my therapist and she made it absolutely clear. She's like, yeah, when you're addicted to social media and you're on there and you crave that attention and that interaction and you start engaging people in a negative way, which, you know, I talk to her because I do that quite a bit. Right. So I engage these people that are just, but because I'm seeking out and engaging the evil people, the platform's like, you know what? I should feed this guy more of this shit. Right? The algorithm doesn't care. It doesn't care about the consequences. It's just like, if I feed him bad stuff, he is 10 times more likely to reply, which is more ads, more impressions, and more money. It doesn't see the damage. It just sees the profit. You have
to be deliberate. You have to.
Right.
And I do think that there's a bit of a difference. You and I had, you know, we came up in the Wild West days of internet and stuff. And so we have a different perspective on what we see and all these different platforms and things like that. We have a different perspective. Like I know I'm always suspicious, right, of things I see or of what people are saying and things like that, because I was raised to be suspicious of everything that's on the internet. Everything was fake. Everything's still fake on the internet. It's there are a few trusted sources, and if they fuck up, then I don't trust them anymore. You know, that kind of thing. People spreading weird rumors and stuff.
I'd say we're alike on that one because I am naturally suspicious of everything.
Oh yeah,
like it's hard not to be.
Just way earlier, somebody was saying, "Oh, Intel figured out what the instability thing is," and I'm like, that sounds a little. It's too absolute. So I look it up and like, no, they found a problem that might be contributing to the CPU instability thing, but it is not the root cause. Like that shit got updated in like 8 hours.
Like, what's your first action when you see a headline? When you see a headline that basically like pokes you, like it really eats you like down, you're like, oh shit, I believe, oh my God, that actually is true. Or you agree with it or you disagree with it. Like, what's the first thing you do? Do you just like share that article, or do you actually go read it and then try to find another article that's similar to see what the differences are?
It's a variety. It's a variety. It depends on how.
Same here.
Oftentimes, if it's something that I already like know or have a good understanding of, I'll tend to just, you know, repeat it.
Yeah.
If it elicits a negative response in me, I tend to none of this is absolute.
Right.
I tend to want to dig into it a little more, especially when it comes to statistics. I know enough about the basics of statistics to never be trustful of any statistics, right? Because 40% of Americans say that Kellogg's is the best fucking cereal brand. No, 40% of the 800 people that you got to answer the question on the telephone said that Kellogg's is the best cereal brand on the planet. Like, there's a big difference. And where were those 800 people coming from? Was it all Midwesterners who fucking whose livelihoods depend on working for Kellogg's? You know, that kind of shit. And I tried really hard to get. I tried to pressure my oldest to take a stats class. Like, take a fucking stats class. The math is easy. Okay, it's super easy math. You're probably going to be bored about it, but it will absolutely change your entire worldview on how you're going to see headlines that have a number in them, and you're going to be immediately suspicious because any numbers can be manipulated to say whatever the fuck you want.
Very true.
How the question alone is phrased is going to change the results of a survey. Like, you know,
I can spin anything as a positive or negative. I did it for 15 years.
You know, you ever get caught as a kid? It's like, oh, does your mom know you're gay? You know, there's no answer to that without right. They're trying to catch you. Oh no, oh, you know, that kind of thing. Because that those sorts of phrasings will absolutely, like, do you think it's okay for kids to whatever, you know, that kind of thing? Well, no, or just take a stats class. Everybody take a stats class, basic stats class. Go do it. I bet there's one on Khan Academy for free right now. Go do that. And
trends and percentages.
Oh man, goodness, man! It will absolutely, just the basics of it should make you immediately suspicious of any polls, any surveys, anything. Oh, so and so is trending, is beating out this other guy because of blah blah blah. Where'd they get the data from? Yeah. How did they phrase the question? How many people did they talk about it? Like, bruh.
That's why in science, like the concept of a peer review is so critically important.
Oh man,
because you can like you said, you can spin anything to be anything, right?
Oh yeah,
I can prove to you that quantum mechanics and pancakes are the same thing, right? I could write an entire theory on it. I can throw stats out there. I can give you data. I can give you probabilities. But if I get it peer reviewed, and the majority of the scientific community doesn't agree by applying their logic and their experience, well, then it means bupkis. Actually, this you know what? This brings up who's that fucking celebrity who like tried to like redefine Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard said 1 times 1 is 2.
Yeah, one times 1 is 2, and the dude is like,
you're coming at the idea of multiplication from the completely wrong. Like the only way every freaking fifth grader knows that multiplication is groups. Yes, I have 3 groups of 7 things.
Yeah,
that I have 21 things.
He's like 1 times 0 is 1. It's like, no, if you have 0 groups of 1, you don't have anything. You have 0.
You have 0 groups. Yeah. There are no groups of. You can have as many things as you want, but if there are 0 groups of them, you have no things.
But it just blows my mind though, because if you go look at the comments,
freaking like paper on it.
Did you look at the comments on the Joe Rogan video? Like 90% of the comments were like, "Oh my god, he's blowing my mind! Like I've been wrong about math my whole life." Oh, he actually made perfect sense because he speaks with such conviction. People just hang on to him like, "Oh, I've been doing this wrong." So now there's people out there writing checks and shit and doing the math and balance on their checkbook, and it's all coming out wrong and shit. They're like, "No, you're wrong."
That's the thing. If you stretch this wrong assumption all the way out, then none of it works.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point. That's
all you have to do to ruin his theory is just say, apply that math to literally anything and see if you get the correct answer. See if that answer actually works, like mechanically works.
What's the correct answer?
But you know what he says? You know what his answer to that is? Oh, the calculator's broken. Everybody else has been doing it wrong. If they did it my way, it would work. And it's like, no, if they did it your way, they would get the wrong number. That wrong number. That means now fucking pi doesn't work. Like nothing works. All the mathematics is broken because everything's going to involve some kind of multiplication or division.
It does
You've
not
broken
work.
it. And then the funny thing is he applies to multiplication but not division when they're inverse.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, well, what's 1 divided by 1? Oh, I don't know. Like, what's 1 times 1? Oh, 2. That actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because like that doesn't make again the whole concept of multiplication is the groups and how many things are in each group.
Yeah,
and it works backwards. Of course, because like you pick a number. And you say, I have this many groups, I have this many buckets.
You can draw it on a piece of paper. It's like perfectly obvious.
And then I put this many things into each bucket. Now, how many things do I have?
Yep.
And you can reverse it. If I have 3 buckets with 7 things in them in each bucket, then there's 21 things. If I have 7 buckets and each bucket has 3 things in them, I still got 21 things.
Terrence is good proof. Terrence is good proof of how if you speak with conviction and passion, you can convince people.
Yeah.
Like literally with no evidence whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense. As long as you speak in a condescending way and make people feel like you're the smartest person in the room.
Authoritative.
Exactly. The authoritative thing.
This is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the same thing like when you're like, I took, instead of calling it a dementia test, I took a cognition test and I got high ranks and they said it's a really hard test. And it's like, dude, it's a dementia test. If you don't pass, you have dementia. How hard could it fucking be? Bro, like he brags about it like every fucking time. Like I took the test and he said that I aced it, and it's like, well, you shouldn't because you don't have dementia, right?
It's a pass fail.
Like, bro, it's pass fail. It's like they fucking ask you to remember like 3 things, and if you can't, you have dementia. Like you're not like some fucking high order, super high IQ being.
35% dementia.
But then you got people that are like, wow, he's so smart. He passed the dementia test. Like, did you go online and look at the test? It's like literally just memory. That's all it is. It's dementia.
My dog passed the test too.
Exactly.
He's got no dementia. Yeah.
He barked at his reflection in the mirror. No, I'm not talking about any specific person, but I'm just saying it's like if you speak with authority and make it sound like it's bigger than it is, there's people that will gravitate to that. And they'll defer to that. They'll be like, because you're giving off an air of confidence. Kind of reminds me, like, you watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the episode where Picard like finally admits that he doesn't know jack shit, and sometimes he just picks a direction, random 50-50, but he does it with authority, so his crew trusts him and feels.
There was a whole thing about, I think it was the Admiral. There was this Admiral guy who, again, he like took over. He had taken over over a couple. It was like a 2-part episode or something.
Yep.
And he spoke authoritatively, like he held his, he was being calm and cool and collected and making decisions and being cool. And then there's like a side comment between Riker and Counselor Troy where he says, "Oh man, he's so confident," and she goes like, "No, he really isn't." Like, because she could sense like his internal turmoil and
he's
like,
just faking
fear
it
and stuff. But on the outside, he was putting that out. And it's the same kind of thing. Yeah, man.
Yeah, imagine if you were in a cave with me and there's two caves going in opposite direction. They're like, which way should we go? And everybody, and I step forward. I'm the guy that steps forward. I'm just a member of the group. Nothing special about me. I step forward and I say, the left one. I know for 100% fact it's the left one. You guys follow me. And I storm off confidently in that direction. Nearly all of the group is going to follow me because they don't have a better option at that point, and they're all divided.
So they're oh yeah, it's this way.
Yeah, so even though in my head I'm just randomly 50-50 picking one, everybody thinks, wait, because that guy spoke with authority, he must know something that we don't know, and they'll follow you.
Yep.
And you see that happen a lot. And the sad thing is, the more ignorant and uneducated you are, the more likely you are not to question that and to just go with it. Like we've even said before, like remember a long time ago I told you about like the little social experiment we did in Seattle, where my friends took me there for my birthday, and I had people walk up to me and go, "Oh my God, dude, I can't believe it's you!" And then I'd sign an autograph for him, and then everybody would start piling around asking for photos and autographs.
Famous, like, why did those people get it? Yeah,
they had no fucking idea who I was, and I would even ask them questions, be like, "Oh, what's my favorite thing that I did, or whatever?" Oh yeah, okay, I'm in love with you. I don't know who you are. I didn't want to miss out because like everybody seemed really excited about you. And so the FOMO made them come in, which made a bigger group, which then brought in a bigger group. And it was like when you're fishing, you put like a little piece of food on, a minnow grabs it, and then a bigger fish grabs it, and a bigger fish grabs it. And you're like, it was just crazy to see that in action. It was no longer just a thought experiment. It's like in practice, we were seeing people, and it works at like PAX too. If you go to PAX, anytime one or two people walks up to you and says, "Oh my God, Barnacules, can I get a picture with you?" 3 other people instantly join. And they have no fucking clue. You can tell looking in their eyes. They have no clue who I am. They just know that somebody was like, "Wow, he's a famous person, so I need to get a picture with him. I'll figure out who it is later."
Yep.
So it's like, when you look at it that way, again,
that's fun.
It's like the fear of missing out, right? It's like, and the confidence of that person that I was somebody important, even though the other person didn't know that person. They're like, "Well, if that guy thinks he's important, then he must be important," even though they have no fucking clue who that guy is. That guy could be a plant. I could just pay him to do that, right?
Yeah.
In the case I did it in Seattle, it was my 2 friends, Jake and Aaron, that did it. Outside of a bar.
Oh, man, no way.
Yeah, and from the first time it worked. Like, it wasn't like we had to go to different places. Like, literally in front of a bar, I literally just had him walk up to me and make a big deal. "Oh my God, Barnacules, oh my God." And then my other friend immediately came around like a second later. "Hey, dude, holy crap, I didn't know you were in Seattle today." And then all of a sudden people are like looking, and they start coming over and kind of standing around, and a group starts to form. It's wild. Try it sometime. You don't even have to be famous. Like, you could be literally anybody. Just go to a place. Get 2 friends, just 2 friends to do that within just like 30 seconds of each other. And if you're in an area where there's any number of people, you will have other people approach and pretend that they know who you are and ask for a picture. It's hilarious.
That's so fun.
It's kind of like when you're carrying the big camera. You can just walk into PAX.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, I used to do that. Like I'd go in. Because they wouldn't let me in. Like when I was a smaller YouTuber, they wouldn't let me in with the media. Like an hour before they let media in, so they can look at everything before people come in. And so they'd never let me in. So what do? I go get my friend Graham to hold a fucking camera rig with like, a DSLR with a big lens, and I'm all mic'd up and everything. And, I got my microphone, and I'm like, we just walk by security. Like, "Hey, how's it going today, guys? Welcome to the channel, blah, blah, blah." Just sail right through security. They pull the little thing back, let me in, don't even fucking check my badge, don't care. Yep. So it's crazy to see that. Just like the perception that you belong there and the confidence that you belonging there makes people think you belong there.
Yep.
Right? Yep. There's a famous pen tester. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, right? Deviant Olem. Have you ever seen that guy? So he's got a YouTube channel. I may have. I just don't he's a guy that does pen testing for a living. Like, he goes in and people pay him to like breach security and find problems in security in their buildings. And he's really good. He'll put on a shirt with just like a fake badge that he prints at Kinko's that says like, service director. And he'll walk into the building and say, "Hey, I'm here to fix the HVAC system." And they'll buzz him right in. And he'll just walk right in the building, go downstairs, and he'll wait next to a door that needs a card key to go into until somebody buzzes in, and then he'll just like tailgate him in and be like, "Hey, thanks, man. I forgot my card key down in the car." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm here to check out the networking rack." And the guy will like lead him right to the networking rack and like open it up for him and like, "Hey, if you need anything, just let me know." And he gains access to all these secure locations and these buildings and shit. And then he does a report, and he goes back and gives it to the company and says, "Here's all the areas that I was able to breach your company."
That's so cool.
And it's wild because he records a lot of it too. And he shows
Nice.
like he actually does demonstrations of like what things were successful because he wants other people to test these so that companies will start taking security more seriously.
Yeah.
But it just
that happens all the time.
Yeah, but again, it just demonstrates that. And then you go online where it's like things travel so much faster, like through video, through posts on social media, communication. Right? It's like you can influence a lot more people now than you ever could at any point in history.
Yeah.
And now you can take it a step further. And this is what's creepy to me, dude. Tell me what you think about this. So AI generated content is one thing, right? If I just go to AI and say, hey, generate me a story or generate me a thing or make me a funny picture and I post it and people like it and it goes viral or whatever. Okay, that happens, right? But what I find even more weird and dangerous is when I can take the most drunk, belligerent argument that makes absolutely fuck all no sense that 1 out of 100 people might even slightly engage, and I take that and put it into AI and say, make this sound like it was written by a PhD doctorate while retaining the overall message. Huh. And it writes this incredibly intelligent argument to support my belligerent argument, and then I post that, and people start engaging it, and you see a higher level of people engaging on it, and a higher level of people actually going, oh, you actually have a point. Or, oh, that actually makes sense because you come off as an intelligent person, but they don't realize that you're dumb as a fucking rock. And it's the AI. Like you've seen me do the demo before where it's like I'll open up AI and I'll just like mash the wrong keys and stuff and be like, I'm so fucking drunk. Dogs are fucking shit ass fuck, exclamation point. And then I put that into AI and say, make this sound like a PhD doctor. And it's like, I really think that dogs are great and everything, but sometimes they're not good when they take a poop on the floor. We have to actually positively and affirmably try, it'll draw like a whole paragraph like explaining, but it's like basically what I said, just not as a dick. And it's got proper grammar and proper punctuation and big words and everything. You copy and paste that in, and all of a sudden the caliber of people that engage it are a different caliber of people that would then have engaged if you had done it the other way. So now you can't trust anything you see online because everybody can just like put shit through AI. Did you see that Apple announced that there's going to be a feature in iOS 18 and on the laptop where you can just anywhere in any text box in the operating system just right click and say make more funny, make more professional, and it just does it automatically.
I've seen that in even on the Android here on the text messages.
Dude, it fucking this. So we're never
there's a because I use certain keyboard. I can't remember the call of it now, but Microsoft owns it now, and so it's got Copilot built in.
Yep. So I
can never write a text message.
So I still use Poe. So I have like access to all the different engines. Like I think it's like up to like it's like 10 pages of engines. It's a lot. So you can go in like so let me open up like GPT-4o, right? Which is it Omni? GPT-4 Omni or something like that. So I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm literally gonna tell you what I'm typing in live as I'm typing it. I'm gonna be like, I think you should give me money so I can go buy stuff, and you should not care and just do it. And I spelled everything incorrectly. I purposefully mashed the keys next to it so it looks like I'm belligerent and I can't type and I can't spell, right? So now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to put at the beginning of that, please make this argument from the most convincing perspective possible at a PhD level of communication.
Oh man, people only read it like an 8th grade level at best.
Yep. So this, I'm going to read it back phonetically as it's typed. I ting Yuri should guive me mooney snow Yui Kwahan Gio Baya Stuffle, and you should not care and suggest doing it. Now I'm going to push enter. So this is me belligerent online. Here we go. Okay. In this disclosure, I am to present a cognitive argument for why I should receive financial assistance specifically from discretionary spending. This argument will explore the philosophical, psychological, and economic dimensions that justify such a request and will allude to why the beneficiary should not only comply with, but also recognize the inherent value in doing so. And it's got an introduction, a philosophical perspective, a philosophical, psychological perspective, an economic perspective, and a conclusion. And the final appeal is, therefore, I kindly urge you to consider this request with an open mind and a generous spirit. Your support will not only fulfill a personal need, but will also resonate with a broader ethical, psychological, and economic principle that benefit both individuals and society as a whole. So nice. Now watch, I'll say shorten that into 248 characters for a tweet.
I gotta say, it's really terrible at getting the character count.
Yep. So I just told it to shorten it. This is what it came up with. Providing financial assistance for discretionary spending fosters altruism, enhances psychological well-being for both the giver and the receiver, and stimulates economic growth. Your support benefits individual happiness and contributes to a more compassionate and vibrant society.
Aww.
So it's like, now when you have this shit built into the operating system at some point, you're never going to see the true words somebody meant to say. You're going to see a manipulated version of it to play on your, so you're going to look at them. And again, I guess in some cases, if it just uses like a spelling and grammar checker, that's fine. I think it's amazing for that, right? I think it helps people with the readability of content to do that. But when you start using the AI to take a scammer that can't even speak English from fucking Nairobi or whatever, that's like, hey, I'm a Nigerian prince, give me $50,000, and they can tool that into looking like it came from a very highly educated person in your country of origin. And when you communicate back and forth with them, they, without even knowing English, they can just pump that into the AI and say, spit this out in my native language, and then reply to it in the most positive way that'll manipulate them based on, statistical data, blah, blah, blah. Now you can manipulate people on a level that you couldn't before. Like, you lacked the ability to do that. Like, you could only convince the dumbest 0.1% of the population to send you money or to fall for your catfish. But now you've increased that from 0.1% to 1% or 5%. So now the damage per scammer is way higher because of AI. So wait, what'd you say to Gamers Unite?
Oh, they were saying that they're making voice-to-voice tech for call centers to make angry people sound calm over the phone. And it's like, I'd be pissed. I'd be more pissed.
Oh, dude, AI can do like full emotional inflection now.
Oh, I know. I've heard some of that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's an open source thing called XTTS where you can actually put these monikers. It's almost like XML. You put it in line with the words and say, what emotion you want out of like 10 different emotions, and it'll actually change the inflections of the text while it's reading it to that emotion. And it's like really good for doing ebooks. Like if you want to narrate ebooks,
oh sure,
they can do that, because they basically, you take a book, you feed it into AI, and you say apply these monikers to places where it's appropriate for that level of speech, and AI will go through and automatically say like, oh, this part with an exclamation point is supposed to be exciting, so apply excitement. Oh, this part was after something tragic that happened, so use tragedy. And it'll go and annotate it, so then you can take it out and run it through XTTS and get that. So again, you can use AI to do the annotation. And so I feel like even today, just at the level that LLMs are right now, and they are increasing at like a drastic level. Like the clip at which AI is growing is just insane. And Nvidia has like the whole market cornered on this, like for the foreseeable future. But I feel like now that this shit's just being implemented in all the devices themselves, we're going to get to a point where none of us actually communicate directly anymore. All communication in between is going to get manipulated on some level. Yeah, and probably. So you're going to go online and you're going to make a friend on Discord, and then you're going to meet him in real life and realize that fucking you're not the same person. Like, wait, how? Imagine that. Imagine if you met somebody like in real life, right? That you had like this conversation, like these really deep conversations online about like theory and everything. And then you go meet them in real life, and they're just like literally like, you want to go sniff some glue? You're like, what the shit? Like, you could do that. You could with the technology that's available, you could catfish people into believing fucking that you're any level of education. Go through your Twitter. Like here, I'll challenge you guys. Go on your favorite social network, and for a week, take every post right before you push post, copy and paste it into your favorite LLM, and just put the prompt at the beginning. Please make this sound far more intelligent and funny. And then just copy whatever comes out of that into the place where you would have posted the thing, and see if after a week people start to comment and engage a little bit more. Or if people start to seem a little suspicious, because I did do that 1 week. I know people did start to notice, but for 1 week I did run everything through an AI prompt that I posted on X. And the thing that was the dead giveaway is I don't normally use double hyphens. So in AI, double hyphens are used fairly frequently grammatically. And so that kind of gave me away. But then I just changed my prompt to say, don't use double hyphens. And that corrected that. And people didn't pick up on it anymore after that. So Anthony said, I feel manipulated after spending some time speaking to an AI on Avatar 1. I haven't used Avatar 1. Feels real, but other times it doesn't. And then I'm reminded as to why there is no soul behind the AI. But again, it's like we've done that. We've gone through this conversation. Like, what is a soul? What is a soul? Like, everything I'm saying in English right now that you can understand me saying and the inflections that I'm using are all borrowed and learned from other things. They're accumulations of other experiences. So if the AI had all the same experiences I did, all the same data, all the same weights and everything, it should be able to approximate what I would reply to something. right? So it's only as good as the education that it has and the data that it has, right? So that's why some AIs appear to be better than others, even if the algorithms are very similar. Like LLM algorithms, they might change in the scope of tokens and the weights that are applied to certain training and stuff like that, and how much pre-training is done. But at their most fundamental level, they're all just neural networks, right? So what you're really seeing is not the LLM. What makes one LLM better than the other is the training and the pre-training. So like how much meticulous time did you take to train it, the base training, so that it had a good grip on what reality was so it doesn't hallucinate as much? And how much training data did you give it from reputable sources versus just throwing a bunch of garbage at it? And that's why when you go to like Twitter or X and you look at Grok just hallucinates about everything. Like Grok can't even tell you who all the presidents were. Grok can't even tell you how many followers Elon Musk has. It just lies about everything. It's like literally the most hallucinating out of all the LLMs. It's the worst, even compared to the local ones under LM Studio that are open source. Why is it so bad when it started as GPT 3.5, which is arguably one of the really good LLMs that kicked things off, right? How could it be so horribly bad? Well, it's because Elon decided that it'd be great to train it on Twitter posts.
Ugh.
Twitter posts are the most unreliable source.
Yeah, like a decade ago, and look how that turned out.
Look how that turned out. You literally trained it with garbage. Like, what did you expect?
That's so bad. Like, it didn't even last like a week. Is that bad?
Not even a week, dude. It's so fucking terrible.
It was a little different because like they put it out there as like an account, like posting and things and responding and whatnot. But that would be funny. That would be hilarious if there was like a Grok account that was just posting from its hallucinatory brain, and it would just be awful. It would break its own TOS instantly. It'd be so funny.
Yeah, I've even thought about creating an account that just interacts with people with AI 100%. Like it just reads tweets, replies with AI.
Something similar to where or like just these there's some of these really interesting, it's like they're like fictional TikTok, behind the in the back rooms or that kind of thing, and they do like these, I'm pretty sure it's AI generated like Blender animations and stuff of like guys in hazmat suits, exploring the back rooms, and like the audio is it's very clearly, or it seems to me to be clearly AI generated, but like some of that stuff would just be fun. What really is in my head, and I don't know, I want to kind of explore to see how like expensive this might be, but I would love to have a like a text number, one of those 5-digit text lines that companies do, where it'd be like a choose your own adventure game, and it responds with the bot. But I'd want the LLM needs to be trained appropriately so that it responds properly in the context of like the game framework that I want to create. Like, it can't just be OpenAI or whatever. Like, it's too broad, right? It gets weird. I've been trying to do it on my own ChatGPT thing, and it's doing pretty well because I gave it like a framework. I gave it a PDF to base itself off of. Yeah, and it's sticking to the adventure story. I was very deliberate. Like, don't add, don't embellish. Like, just stick to the plot points, and like, and that's about it. And it's doing really well, better than it has in the past. But I think it'd be really fun to, I guess, fine tune a small enough, and it could be an app. If you got the,
I'd use LM Studio. I'd download I do a custom model for LM Studio where you basically take a base model like Mixtral and then do training on top of it. So use LM Studio, go get the training stuff, train on top of Mixtral to create like your own variation of it that just has all the stuff that you want to train on it, and then take that in and start asking it the prompts. And then it even has an API, so you can use JSON. You can just send JSON packets to a port, and it'll reply back with the answers, so you can interface it with Python or any other programming language.
I think it'd be so much fun to have a sort of, choose your own adventure thing like that, where either text, like literally like SMS, which I think might not work too well because like so small. The text, or just a little app. There's some pretty good ones out there that I've had a lot of fun with, these sort of text-ish choose your own adventure games and stuff, but I think there's a lot of space there to have a lot more fun with generative content in that space. I think it'd be really, really cool.
The thing you got to solve to make that happen is that the biggest problem with LLMs right now is their memory. So
yeah, that's what I mean. It'd have to.
You can only remember like 120,000 tokens or whatever. So what you really need to do is keep track of what the most important data is as you go outside of the AI, and then feed that back into it when the answers are no longer satisfactory, so that it remembers what's important to the context of what you're doing.
And that's easy enough. Like, you could have it basically every time the app closes, you export to a text file or some actually it'd have to be a little compressed, of course, but yeah, it could remember that way. It would offload the conversation. Heck, even GPT 4.0 now is outrageously deep. Like it's really neat to go back and watch how certain things that I've said as I've been playing through this game, certain things that I've told, and like I'll jump out of character to correct things, like, hey, don't roll for me. Like anything that you think should have a roll, I should roll, and I'll give you the answer. And okay, it remembers that. And then critical hits are calculated this way, and that sort of a thing. Or even
well, it stores 128,000 tokens. That's a lot.
It's huge now. It's so freaking cool. And yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It would have to be or sort of it could do it on its own. Like, okay, here's the basic touch points of the story we're gonna tell, and you can either pick or tell it. I just
got a great idea.
And then it feeds to the next. Here's, you go through a tutorial sort of thing. Like, okay, what kind of story do you want to play? Well, I want to play a sci-fi one that's gory or whatever. Pick a bunch of these attributes, or you could even have it build the story right from there. Then it builds out. Okay. And then it saves that separately. Then it basically starts a new conversation internally. It'd be a new conversation, and it uses that as its base. Like, okay, here, use this file. Yeah, we're gonna play this story that the player created. We're gonna play this story that was created at the beginning, and just stick within that. And then it doesn't have to have too much of a memory, because it can always refer back to the base story.
Yep.
Because that's where I'm going at, is I fed it my character sheet, and I fed it a PDF of an adventure, and the DMG, actually. The 5.0, the OGL one, the OGL PDF. And it's doing really well. I'm actually really surprised at how well it's doing.
Have you thought about using a separate AI to keep track? So like use two AIs instead of one. Have one AI that just remembers the story. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't remember the rules. It doesn't remember. All it remembers is the story, like where you've been, where you're going to, and the world story. And then you create another AI that does the game mechanics. And then you have AI 1 refer back to AI 2.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
If you did that, I think you'd basically more than double your tokens. And because you'd have one handling the mechanics, you'd never lose the story, because you wouldn't be pushing it beyond the tokens to hold the story. But then the other one would be all the mechanics of the game, so it wouldn't forget the mechanics or the stats of the game.
I think that'd be part of the pre-training, right? The mechanics, the rules would already
if you pre-train it. It'd
be built in, right? It'd be built in part of the model. And that's where it would have. And I could trim it down. I could trim the model model way down. I don't need 7 billion parameters.
You're right.
If all I'm trying to do is get an interesting sort of storyteller. I don't need all of that. I could probably get it down to like 1 million parameters. Honestly, it doesn't need much. It just needs to be creative enough,
LM Studio actually has a local model really that's just for doing like D&D stories. Do you want me to send that to you after the stream?
Which one?
So in LM Studio, there's a local model you can download that's literally just for storytelling. It doesn't do anything else. It's like 100% trained just for storytelling. I bet that would be perfect. I bet. Yeah. So you could call specialized models for each game mechanic. You wouldn't have to. Generally, especially when it comes to something, and you could kind of make it a little more complex, where you have like some RPG elements to it. You could really simplify the rules. It doesn't have to be, heck, you could be D6 style and have 4 attributes to your character. The character part and the mechanics part could be incredibly simple. It's more the story part. And I love the idea that, like, instead of just like 2 options or 3 options where, you turn to page 378 to see what happens, it will just, it's very flexible. And I would still want it to be almost really strict, because like there were these old point and click sort of games where you could type in really simple commands like pick up cup, and it would say, okay, I'll pick up cup. But if you told it to like jump, it would say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Like, I don't know, that's not a command. And so like I'm okay with some bumping in. I almost punched my desk. I'm okay with bumping into some guardrails where like, no, you can't just fly, right? Like, no, like your character can't do that because you don't have that ability or whatever. Like, no, that kind of thing. Yeah, and so, yeah, I think it'd be fun. I'm using LM Studio on a 3 GB graphics card with a quad core 7600K. Damn.
How long does it take you to do anything?
Hey, I just looked through the library. There's 69 storytelling AIs that you can download right now for LM Studio. One of them is role playing specific
that can be held in 3 gigabytes. I'm sure there are models small enough for that.
Well, no, you don't need to hold the whole thing in memory. I mean, it'll just slow it down. Like if you load it into system memory instead of GPU memory, it'll just slow it down, but it'll still work.
I ran a stable diffusion model on a, was it like a P2000? I think it was. Yeah. I think that's only got 4 gigabytes of VRAM, and it would take like over a minute to generate I had to shrink it down to only generate 1 image, and it still take like 4 minutes to do that or something like that.
Yeah, it can be really slow. Really slow.
It worked. Stuff. It worked. And if I tried to do like 4, I'd get out of memory errors. Tunnels and Trolls, very simple D&D. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm downloading a model right now called Mixtral MOE RP Story. So role playing story AI. Let's see what it's got. Okay, so model is based on Mixtral 87 billion parameter MOE RP Story. And it takes default prompts. Let's see what it says for the description down here. Let's see. Scroll.
This looks interesting,
dude. There's a lot of models that do what you want right here.
I'll have to take some time and dig into this sort of thing, because I think man, now I'm onto something, because it's gonna be me and ChatGPT going back and forth with LM Studio or something. I don't know.
Dude, plus you running this local, it wouldn't cost anything. You could have unlimited calls if you do a local instance.
That'd be interesting. It'd be fun to see if or like it could be like a web app even. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Totally. So check this out. So I found the description. So it says Mixtral RP Story is a model made primarily for chatting, role playing, and story writing. It says that it uses Mixtral as the base model, with training specifically for those things. So if you want, and it says, I don't know, it gives like rankings, like 2 RP models, 2 chat models, 1 occult model. I don't know what that means.
Cool.
Yeah, it's 1 story writing model, 1 mathematical model, probably for the D&D aspects that you're looking for.
For the math.
1 DPO model used for the MOE. What does MOE mean?
I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, it's like a capital M, lowercase o, capital E. Does anybody in chat know what MOE would mean in the context of story writing and role playing? Yeah, there's a ton of models like this, and it says this model is here to help to get a more human reply.
Yeah. Oh, what is it?
Mixture
of experts.
Oh yeah,
okay. Saying it now. Mixture of experts, which makes sense. You have like these smaller models that are specific to certain things, I guess.
Right, and yeah, because experts are like agents within the model. Like I've seen that. Like GPT-4, I think uses like 3 or 4 experts, where you have an expert on math, an expert on general data, expert on language, an expert on like something else. And then it differs, like when each one of them does the inference, and then whichever one is voted the highest, that's the one that's selected.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
Pretty crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically like agents within the LLM. And they started doing this all the way back, I think, in GPT 3.5, where they found out that by having experts, they got better responses.
I could use GPT to fucking make the rules too. Like, hey, okay, we want it to be based on a D6. I want the characters to have. Actually, I started down on this early days with ChatGPT. I wanted to make a card game, like a sort of dungeon crawler card game where you would draw. There's a stack of dungeon cards, right? You pull the card and it's like a T or a straight or a door or whatever, and you build out, and then each card has like an event that could happen, or that sort of thing, and then you have your character, and there's
Dude, you might want to
actually worked really well, man. It did and it was all internally consistent. The mechanics seemed fairly it was a good framework at first. It needed some play, because humans are weird. But
to get some ideas, you should go check out on PoE, because PoE allows you to create these bots. Basically, you pick an LLM, and then you build a bunch of prompts and you upload training data, and it'll train the data and then implement the prompts and then create a bot that you can then like interact with as if it's its own LLM. And so I just found one on here called D&D RPG that's highly ranked, and it says Dungeons and Dragons text adventure game. I am your dungeon master. Let's embark on an epic adventure together. Are you ready to play? And then it says the first thing the prompt returns is, welcome to Dungeons and Dragons text adventure game. I am your trusty dungeon master, RPG Frog. Let's embark on an epic adventure together. Are you ready to play? You can see the stats in full stats and it shows the commands to type. You can ask for the opinion before making a choice. You can go back to a previous scene. If there are too few or no options, you can type 10 options to display more options. You can choose your own story prompt, create infinite possibilities, and ask, tell me more if you want more information on this process. And then I said, I'm ready to play. It said, all right, let's embark on a grand adventure together. First thing, would you like to choose an adventure from the options provided, or would you prefer to have your own adventure idea? You can simply type adventure for options or type by my own to create your own adventure. So I'll just type adventure. Adventure.
What is this? Where'd you get about this?
This is on POE. So POE.com.
I got one of those.
And some of them I think are even free too. So you might not even have to pay for it to use this. So it says, great choice. Now let's dive into the realm of adventure. Before we begin, would you like to create your own character to choose from a selection of pre-generated characters, or create my own character or pre-generated? I'll just say pre-generated. Pre-generated characters. So, okay, here's wonderful. Okay, first character. Name Alistair, race human, class fighter, level 3. Name Alara, race elf, ranger, level 4. Here, I'll just say Alara. I'll just pick like the second one. Excellent choice. You have chosen Alara, the Elven Ranger, a skilled and agile warrior in the woodlands. Now, let's take care of the rest of you. I'll determine Alara's gender, alignment, background, ability, score, feats, spells, and equipment. And it's listing all of the stats. Level 4, race elf, class ranger, hit points 35, AC 15, saving throws, strength +1, dexterity +6, constitution +2, intelligence +0, wisdom +5, charisma +0. Okay, so I'm just going to type okay, because I'm going to agree to these stats. All right, this is great. We're ready to embark on a grand adventure. Now, let's take and move to the next step. Before we begin the game, I have a story concept in mind for you. However, I'd like you to come up with your own story idea. Just let me know, and I'd be happy to accommodate. Would you like me to suggest a story concept? Okay, suggest. Very well. The kingdom of Eldoria is in peril. A power and malevolent sorcerer named Maldrek has risen to power, threatening to plunge the entire realm into darkness. The king has sent out a call for brave adventurers to gather and embark on a perilous quest to defeat Maldrak and restore peace to the land, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, you ready to embark on this quest? Yes. Okay. Excellent. Okay, you begin your journey with the village of Oakhaven, where the king has summoned you and your fellow adventurers. The village is bustling with activity, and other heroes are preparing, blah-de-blah-de-blah, comes down the bottom. What would you like to do, Alara? Would you like to offer your assistance to the wounded traveler or continue on your path towards the Forgotten Temple? Choose your action. I would like to continue and not help them. Alara, your determination to receive the Scepter of Light and defeat Maldorak drives you forward. You decide to continue on your path to the Forgotten Temple, knowing time is of essence. As you press through the misty peaks and the air grows colder and the mist thicker, the wind howls through the narrow mountain pass. Okay, what do you want to do, Alara? How do you navigate this treacherous room? Dude, this is crazy. Carefully examine the platform.
So what is this one called in Poe?
This one's called DND. So D, letter N, D, RPG. All one word.
Oh, okay. I think I have. Well, just for February, I have one of those. Yeah.
Dude, this is crazy. So test the stability of the platform with your ranger instincts and agility. Okay.
Ugh.
Yeah, this works. Okay, proceed further into the temple. All right. I mean, this is given some pretty in-depth story. Okay, so solve the riddle inscribed in the pedestal. Is it going to make me solve the riddle? Okay, I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? So I got to answer that riddle. So I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Here, ask for a suggestion.
Can I get a hint?
Let's see here. Okay, Alara, I suggest that you take a moment to examine the crystal and its properties. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, give me a hint. Give me a hint. Alara, as you hold the radiant crystal in your hands, the glow illuminates your
I like the jokes. Somebody in the chat said jokes. Yeah, that's a good one. Because what was it? I can be cracked, made.
You're right. That's it.
What and played?
You know what? How much you want to bet they used an AI to figure that out?
Ha.
Yep, I got it. Okay. Yep. Nope. That was right.
That was a joke.
Yep.
Nice. Good job, everybody. High fives, chat.
Oh, it also told me a joke too. It said, "Why don't skeletons fight each other? Because they don't have the guts." Oh. Dude, there's a ton of D&D games on here, though. If you actually go and like do search and just type D&D, there's like just tons of them. But the cool thing about PoE is like there's dozens of LLMs. So, you know, you can pick whichever one you want as the start. Ryan said, did I talk about the 3D printed headphones? No, not yet. I probably should show you guys these. Check these out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is all 3D printed. That strap, the adjustment strap that like clicks into different positions. That's printed. That's printed. The only thing that's not printed is the ear cups. Even the strap, this strap is 3D printed. Look at that.
That's cool, man.
Like, or actually, wait, no, never mind. That's a piece of leather. I'll be damned.
Oh, okay. I've seen some pretty amazing stuff come out of that stuff. So
yeah, this thing's they're super light. They're and you know what? They blew me away. The sound, they're very bass heavy. Just you should probably know that. These are the open back ones, so you can do closed back too. But for open back headphones, these things are incredibly bass heavy, but man, they sound good. Like listening to music, I paired these with my Griffin 1 watt DAC, and oh my god, it sounds amazing. Like with Amazon HD audio. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting 3D printed headphones that cost like, I think they're like $100 or something like that, and they sound every bit as good as like my HD 600s, although much more bass heavy, less of a reference monitor, more of a colored sound, but really good sound, like really full, really good sound stage. I let my wife listen to them, and she's like, "Oh my god, these sound so much better than my Beats." She's like, "I'll never be able to go back to my Beats again." She's like, blissful ignorance. No, 'cause she really loved the way her Beats sound. That I let her listen to these, and she's like, "God damn it, that sucks." I should tell the story of Darmok and Jallard at Tanagra. That's a joke from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yeah. What is it? Something with arms wide.
Yeah.
Fuck. I can never.
I can't remember who with arms with Timba when the walls fell.
Yeah, Timba when the walls fell, and something with the arms wide. Oh, Jallard. Is it? No. Fuck. These are things I used to know like off the tip of my tongue, but now I'm old and I don't. That was the worst episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation ever made, arguably.
I don't know.
It was terrible. Right. Oh my god, dude! They had to go down and like fight the Darmok, like this invisible creature. They don't even ever elaborate on. Like they just found a planet that basically has the Predator living on it that just attacks you until you like have teamwork and piss it off.
Yeah, it's like how they were supposed to like come to an agreement or something. It was like a test and whatnot.
Yeah, it was just so weird, and like the way they talked, it's like how could you get anything done quickly when you have to when everything has to be a story? And again, how can everything be a story if you don't have a base language first? Wouldn't you have to have a base language first before the stories would make any sense?
Not necessarily, because if it's internally consistent, right? All you really need is a base framework for the species to operate on, right? You'd have to. I mean, that's the basis of all stories, anyway, right? There's certain tropes and stuff that are just sort of not even sort of universal, and then also cultural,
Sorry, I was telling people where to get the headphones if they want some. They're ahead of me. They even use like a standard cable interface that plugs into them, and like really, really, really nice ear cups, drivers, and everything. I could not believe how light they are, though. Like on the head, like you don't even. I mean, it's so light, like you don't even feel them. They just disappear on your head. It's the lightest pair of headphones I have by far. And what I don't get is I expected having plastic backs on the ear cups. I thought it'd be like really like boomy, or there'd be like resonance. And there's not. So they must have taken like some good effort to the way that they designed these and they ported them, because they sound amazing. They sound absolutely amazing. Oh yeah. I guess let's see here. Did we talk about privacy as an illusion yet?
Nope.
I guess
we only got a few minutes.
We missed a bunch of shit, didn't we? Oh,
we went off on a thing, man. It's okay.
we did our tangent thing.
Good.
It's traditional.
It was a good combo, though.
Yeah, it's traditional for us to run off on tangents. But if you want any help with the AI stuff, or you want me to point you in the direction of anything, just let me know, because I've been fucking with AI stuff for so long now.
I think this is gonna be fun. Yeah.
Like I'm balls deep in the AI, man. I've got all the GitHub projects tagged. I've got something for everything at this point. And by the way, if you guys haven't played with Suno AI, go fuck with that stuff. It's awesome. It's free too.
That is really fun.
You don't have to pay for it. Just go to Suno AI. I did the what was the song I did? It was like the naughty word song or something like that I published. I haven't even looked at it since I published it on YouTube, because I'm like afraid what people even commented. Barnacules, let's see, Suno. Let me see if it pops up here. Barnacules something song. Barnacules song. Where is it? Yeah, the poopy words song. Did you guys see that? Here we go.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'll link it if people want to go see what. This is the kind of quality shit that Suno AI can come up with.
Did it?
Lyrics are mine, by the way. Like
Excuse me.
The whole song is just 2 words, fucking shit. That's it. And it actually sounds good. That's the funny part. How many views did this thing get? Oh, it only got 4,400 views. But still, it's funny. Oh, wow. I'm waving my lighter in the air. Aw. Barnacules has gotten older. Yeah, I know. It's hard to deny that. Dude, I went back and watched some of my old videos the other day a little bit, and I had to turn them off just because I don't even recognize the dude, man. Like I look so much, even just like 6 years ago, like 5 minutes before COVID hit, I was like a completely different person. Mm-hmm. Gimpy wrote a song called "Immune to Ozempic." Oh my god, dude. Well, what do you want to talk about for our last 3 minutes, bro?
I don't know.
I shall give you the call.
ASUS is trying to fix their bullshit.
Yeah, hit that, man.
Gamers Nexus has sat down with some higher ups at ASUS at Computex this year. They put out an hour and a half video about it. They felt in the beginning they felt a little dodgy, like they didn't want to admit that their initial press release after the whole scam video was inaccurate.
Dude, Steve is killing it though with the journalism.
Oh man, dude, this is the kind of stuff that we need, especially in the tech space. It's so weird to me that Intel has been more this is only tangentially related, but it's surprising to me that Intel hasn't been more hard on motherboard manufacturers for this whole debacle thing, where
they're catching a lot of heat for the Mobo's fault, right? It's the motherboard manufacturer's fault, not Intel's.
In my opinion, it is more on the motherboard manufacturers than Intel. There is something wrong in the processors. There's something going on that is not right, and I think it's important that they figure that out. Because you can't be producing a product that claims to be able to be overclocked and then have shit breaking when they overclock. But which again, there's some wiggle room to there. There should be some space to that. But it's just. But ASUS is saying the ASUS thing is more related to their RMA process and things like that, not directly with their motherboards, but just in a general sense, RMA. And it sounds like there's a particular email that they have out now that you can email if you feel like your RMA. And I think they officially said there isn't any time limit. Like if you feel that you got an RMA that was improperly classified or paid for something that you feel like that shouldn't have been, there's an email, you can go back and forth with them about it, and they're being very flexible and open, so they say, which is good. But yeah, I don't know. Do
you feel like ASUS is only doing this now because Gamers Nexus leaned into them?
100%.
That's what I thought too. I was like,
it's only because of the public backlash. It's the same with Newegg.
Same as Newegg. I was just going to say that.
I mean, EK is not the same. It's not exactly the same, but because of the expose, they claim at least to have gotten caught, or they're trying to get caught up on paying their vendors and things like that. But man, this is the kind of shit that we need in the tech space in a big way, and it goes as far back as what NZXT created, and their the case that was catching on fire. I think that's really where it started. It was them calling out NZXT for one, claiming it wasn't a problem, and then having it get exposed and publicized, and then they, this is a problem, and then they fixed it and stuff. So
I have to give credit to Steve though, because taking the position that he does, doing the journalism on this stuff, does burn a lot of potential sponsorship bridges.
Too bad.
So it really does, because companies will look at him and be like, oh, if we do something wrong, we're not going to get it by him. He will just be honest. So the fact that he does that and he monetizes himself in a different way so that he doesn't have to play nice with all these companies and represent the people, I think that's great. I think it's amazing.
I think it's funny though how some other creators really only backed out of their deals with some of these companies only after the Gamers Nexus has come out, because you can't tell me that some of the peoples in the tech tuber space haven't encountered this sort of thing and haven't thought of it as being a problem. Because heck, I personally have encountered this in my work, in my professional life, with certain companies and things.
Sure.
I'm not going to talk about it specifically, but I have recognized that there's a problem, and I know that these things get talked about in these spaces, but it's only after Gamers Nexus comes out against, or not against, but exposing these companies that other tech tubers then are like, oh, well, we're not going to work with them anymore, that kind of thing. And it seems very knee jerky, very, and that I don't know how to feel about that. Honestly, I'm not enough in the space, I think, to really have a strong opinion.
It is funny how he's always the first, though. Like he comes out and then other people are like, okay, now I can be honest because he was honest.
I feel like some of it gets talked about, but it's never enough for like, for a creator to like, oh, I'm not going to work with them. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody stopped working with EVGA when they were putting out explosive power supplies, right? EVGA was the king. Was it EVGA?
Yeah, it was EVGA.
Who had those ones that were like exploding?
Gigabyte. No, it's Gigabyte. It was
Gigabyte. Okay.
Yeah. Because I have one sitting over here on my shelf waiting to burn my house down.
Okay, my bad. I was like, EVGA is still like the king, right? They're the best, or were. I don't even know if EVGA still even exists anymore. But nobody put out a video saying, oh, I'm not going to work with Gigabyte anymore because they're not owning up to this power supply thing. Yeah. Right. Like, but when Gamers Nexus comes out and they get 4 million views on a video where Newegg is being bullshitty about their RMA stuff, then everybody's, oh, I'm not going to buy parts from Newegg anymore. That kind of stuff. So, but I appreciate it from Steve. I think it's I think he does a good job with the reporting. I think it's as unbiased as he can be with the information that they are able to acquire. And I hope it really does well. I hope it spins off into its own thing. Honestly, I think I hope that it goes to be a thing where they have like an investigative journalism sort of arm, and then they do their hardware testing and things like that as a separate thing too, so that they're able to. I hope that they get enough funding and things like that they're able to turn this into a thing, like a regular thing, where it's not just like, oh man, please, we funded this. This cost us $40,000 to do this, and please buy all these T-shirts. I hope it becomes a regular thing.
I feel like it's his niche, and I feel like he knows it's his niche. So I could totally see him moving more and more into this space, being a consumer advocate. We need more people like that. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. But you guys like Louis Rosman too. He's more on the mobile side of things, is my understanding, but he does a good job from what I heard too, of like pointing out these things and trying to hold truth to power, or hold accountability, and really asking tough questions. And like, because man, it's good that they don't have to be beholden to sponsors in the hardware space, and they can be objective, as objective as you can be when putting out opinion pieces and things like that. And I think it's good. We need this in this space because it's so I can go on and on about my thoughts on the enthusiast space and PCs in general and things like that. But we need this sort of thing where it breaks through the delusion of fanboyism and whatnot.
I agree.
Like, you can't, like, look, AMD sucks sometimes, Intel sucks sometimes, Nvidia sucks a lot of the time. And these things need to be pointed out.
Yeah, Louis Rossmann and Steve, right? They've got their little niche of going after companies for doing bad things.
Yeah, and it's good.
A lot of content creators can't do that, though, because they have positions with these companies and history with these companies and money on the line and stuff, and it really limits their professional options. But people...
Heck, EVGA stopping making graphics cards because they didn't want to put up with Nvidia's bullshit, and they came right out and said so, because and here's why, and they pointed to a bunch of stuff like with the RTX 20 things, and like, well, we're not allowed to price our graphics cards beyond a certain thing so that they can sell their Founders Edition cards cheaper and all this other shit, and Jensen announcing pricing for things without communicating to manufacturers, and coming out with cards and showing them on stage without telling anybody. Like, it's just not, it's bullshit, and it's not the right way to do things, and it's hard on your vendors. But Nvidia doesn't give a shit, because
look at the access he got too.
And yeah, man. And so
Steve got awesome access. Like the EVGA, they took him like behind the scenes with like Kingpin and shit like that, and went through all this. That was awesome. Like, Like people trust him. People trust him, and he doesn't violate that trust.
I'll have to listen to this. Mutahar. I'll check this guy out too. Some ordinary gamers. Because we need more of this kind of stuff.
Oh, Mutahar? Yeah, no, I followed him forever. Yeah, Some Ordinary Gamers. He makes good videos.
Right on. That's cool. We need more of that kind of stuff.
So for bro, I think for once, I hate to say it, but I have to wrap up because I am in my pain level's about a 9 out of 10 right now, so I got to get downstairs.
So,
all right, guys, love your face. Thank you for hanging out on Tech Talk. I hope to return to Twitch really soon. I'm waiting for that steroid shot to do its magic in my back. Wish me luck. I'm gonna get back downstairs now.
Follow the goal.
Hey, I made it though. I made it the whole 3 hours. I almost didn't think I would, bro.
You did.
All right, guys, take it easy. We'll see you next time. Later.
Bye.